Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition. No Heel Tony today. I know y'all love Heel Tony, and we saw it on the comment. Presented by True Classic. We'll talk about our sponsor later on, True Classic. Shout out to them. Thank you for sponsoring this video.
Best t-shirts in the game.
They are amazing t-shirts. Also, I will say thank you for everybody. Last video did excellent. We're going back. We're back into season mode. We love all the comments. We read all the comments, by the way. Super thanks is available. So we can highlight those after the video is over. And with that, well, let me go to a couple super chats that we have right from the get-go. Cleveland offense, shout out to Anime. Cleveland offense just has to have one quarter of great play. The defense show they can do 3 quarters.
I like that.
Yeah,
it's complimentary football. There it is, complimentary football. You give us one.
Here's the thing I have. When I looked at the film, I think there's a bit off. I think the perception is a bit off from the reality on how the offense played. And it's not like, again, people need to understand. When I say like the Browns, I'm comparing it to a disaster last year versus what it is now. It's not a disaster. It is a functional offense, which they did not have for most of the part last year. I mean, we're talking about games where the Browns lost and the defense only gave up 15 points, almost lost the game to the Lions where they only gave up 10 points. This is not a functioning fire or a disaster like last year's was. There was I don't know how many possessions they had, but I know they scored on 8 of their possessions. That's pretty much the most of them. They only punted on about 3 or 4 of them. And again, only punted if your offense is good. It's not good. But given what I think people are operating as if this is a dysfunctional offense, it's very functional. It's been 1 week, but the one performance that we saw was that of a functional one. Now, if they were operating at a higher efficiency and operating at a higher level of execution, this is an offense that would have put up 40, 45 points against the Panthers because those opportunities were absolutely there that they missed on. But it's not a disaster. I think we're kind of falling into that because for whatever reason, but I will push back on it. Like last year, the Browns offense was a disaster. It was dysfunctional. Like there was nothing they could have done that would have fixed it because there were so many things that were just breaking down there on a consistent basis. Even Nick Chubb having 1,300 yards did nothing to help. But here, I think there's a bit more optimism, I would say, from what I saw on film to what this offense can be if we just get better quarterback play. And also, this is one of those not great Jacoby Brissett games, not starting quality Jacoby Brissett games that he gave you, and you were able to win those. So now you're +1, in my opinion, because he's going to give you in this stretch of 11 games, probably, his numbers suggest five good starts, 5 quality starting level starts in this stretch, maybe 6. But if you can, the more you can win these games where PFF is going to grade them below 50, that's a +1 situation for you. So now you feel like you can win a game maybe you're not supposed to because Jacoby plays at a starting level according to PFF or at a higher level of execution. So those things are there. And I know I bring jokes, but sometimes I try to have actual serious analysis of this,
right? Jupiter Rain.
You got to work it in between the jokes. That's how I operate. In between.
It's like stand-up comedy. You got to mix the commentary in with the jokes.
Every once in a while.
So Jupiter Rain here says, should Ravens sign Hayden/Harris to replace Fuller?
Who's Harris?
I would say, I'm not sure what Harris he means, but I will say right now the Ravens are positioned fine, even without Fuller, because Marcus Peters is about to come, even if not this week, next week. So nothing to really panic. I think they have depth for this week, not because of the opponent is not good, but they just have some depth right now. And then if Marcus Peters is not coming this week, he should be back next week. They already signed some guy, by the way, to the practice squad, and elevated a practice squad guy to the 53.
Okay.
So
So what? How did they? How did they? I guess I should have paid more attention to this last week. How did they handle it as far as who went to the slot? Was it Humphrey again?
okay, so when Fuller went down, it was with 1 minute left in the game,
Oh, okay.
and they
That's why I didn't
scored.
notice. This
And
makes more
then,
sense now.
yeah, it scored a touchdown. After I think that's after that they scored the touchdown, right? But it wasn't like the Ravens were basically they were just playing for. What happened with Fuller was the guy scored a touchdown on him, but he pushed, and when he pushed, and it was called offensive pass interference. He planted the knee, tore ACL,
Gotcha.
and then
They gotta. I listen. I talked about this last year, and it was a joke last year. But like, at what point do we start looking at the training staff in Baltimore with a little side eye? You know, you got. How many guys have to go down with season enders early in the year before we go?
they
You
changed
stretch
it.
What
it
used
before
to
the
be the
game or
Phoenix
something?
Suns?
Wait,
They used to have that
changed
going on, right? Remember
They
that? There was like that.
Yeah.
But it's
They did
usually
change the
when that's
trainer?
the problem. It's usually because like soft tissue injuries, like always
Yeah.
we pop. Like it's never like the season enders that indicates that your staff is terrible. It's like the 3-week injuries. Like why are we having all these 3-week injuries? They haven't.
Oh, yeah. No, it's listen. I mean, Juwan James is out. I mean, towards Achilles again. And yeah,
tough.
now you got Kyle Fuller out for the year. In this is week one. I mean, here we go. You know, Ravens fans got to feel a little bit like, what did we do? What did we do to the injury gods to have
well,
this? And by the way,
that's
the guy
true.
who said Harris, it's Chris Harris Jr. Who I didn't even know he was out of the
I
league.
know.
Chris
Chris
Harris
Harris is out the
Not
league.
either.
Yeah, I guess he's not on a
thought-
roster right now.
I thought he was still in the Chargers.
Life
Yeah.
is tough for a DV, man.
It
It's so
is.
tough. Like it's
Well,
like
one of those
running
things where
back.
yeah, you lose it and then
Yeah, it's like
They might need to
what
put James Smith.
what was the Evans saying about Shady McCoy? Hey man, once you lose that one step, you ain't shady no more. You know?
Luke Walker here says Bengals fan bragging about how close the game was is sub behavior must be. We lost to Mitch Trubisky. Okay, I think that no, we have one more or two more. Brownie the elf got bigger hands than
Every day the Browns do something, I find out like nobody understands like what the stuff like what logos are associated with the Browns. That's like because like growing up in it, like yeah, you know the Brownie the elf is in the peripheral there.
Right.
Like it's never been like
The classic.
prominent. Yeah, it's always kind of been there. But then they brought out the elf, and people are like, "What the hell?" And it's like it's like weird because like we have a bunch of weird logos that make sense to us because like they're culturally important to Browns fans. You know, the dog logo. People don't understand how we got associated with the dog pound. People don't understand the Brownie logo, and it's like a lot of what the Browns. The Browns are truly one of the few teams, and a lot of the older teams in the NFL are like this. It's kind of a if you know kind of a situation because they never really had to sell themselves to everybody because they got in the league so early before it was popular, right? Pittsburgh's logo is a mystery to everybody else but Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You know, Green Bay, it's like, how did they get that logo? And why is it football shaped? But it's just been around so long. Same thing with the Browns. Whereas newer teams like the Ravens, it's pretty obvious what they're going for because they had to kind of sell that to a modern fan base. Same thing with the Bengals because Bengals have more deeper history in that logo and in their history than what people associate with it. But still, it's like fairly obvious what they were going for. Even though, you know, why were they chose to be the Bengals in Cincinnati? You know, the CV, that sure seems like a coincidence, though, that Paul Brown, but, you know, it's
that was a revenge. I mean, Paul Brown was like, you know, he like created that out of spite. Yeah.
Future
black,
NFL he
orange
says,
and black, right? Orange and
They
brown.
took
Like,
my dog team from him, man.
Yeah, exactly.
he was like, I'm gonna get my shit back.
Yeah, exactly.
yo, Tony, where were you last episode?
Yeah, I apologize. I missed Monday's episode, but man, that guy you guys had in my place, he was angry.
He was
I mean, he made a
fired.
lot of great points. Don't get me wrong, but man, he was.
Also, shout out to Adam Holland. Thank you for being a Patreon member on the top tier. Shout out to you. Thank you for the support. If you want to support us more, you can go to Patreon. The link down in the description below. Let's get this thing started. We're gonna talk Browns first. The polls out there: Browns or Jets. Let me start with this, and then I'm gonna throw it to Q because we play the Jets, right? The Jets have we're gonna be part of the AFC North. The Ravens essentially are doing the same thing on the other side, right? The Ravens are playing the AFC East, the first 4 games. And the Jets got a rude awakening week 1. And then one of the biggest thing in this game was the pressure that the Ravens were able to get into Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's not mobile, right? He was never the most mobile guy, but definitely nowadays he just has concrete in his feet.
Yes, he does.
That left tackle did not help him. I mean, Justin Houston went put back in that clock, and I can only imagine what Myles Garrett will do to this guy. The interior guys were not great. We talking about Justin Matabuke was having probably his best game ever. Michael Pierce, a veteran, he had a hell of a game also as nose tackle. Odafe only had a quiet game. He was the only, I would say, of everybody, he had the most quiet game. Calais Campbell also had so the D-line had a great game. Browns have 2 really good pass rushers. It's not good for Joe Flacco. Also, their secondary is good. I think Ravens secondary is really good as well. But you add that to the pass rush, I think Flacco's going to have a long day. On defense, the only chance I give the Jets like a 2% chance of winning. I don't know what the line is, and Tony's going to tell us soon. And it's if for some reason, some miracle, they can hold both Kareem Hunt and Chubb to like 75 yards combined. If that were to happen, it's the only way. I mean,
no, it would be more than that, like 125 total. I think would still keep them close enough where it's like.
No, if it is low yards, and Jacoby has a clean game,
they're still going to lose. No, I'm saying, how do they keep it close? I mean,
it's like if they got to keep them under 4 yards for carry, right? Like the efficiency can't be there for the run game.
Yeah, right around 4. Yeah,
exactly.
4.1 probably still because you're going to ask.
Yeah, 4.1 is a dangerous. Like they want that in 3, but that's just I don't know if anybody's ever, like I think maybe Pittsburgh did it once, and held them to about 3.5. But that's it. I mean, you're talking about guys who average 5, sometimes 6 yards per carry, with a really good offensive line.
Yeah, so I don't see it at all. I think the line was 6, Tony, or 6.5, or.
Yeah, the line right now, it is between 5.5 and 6. Cleveland by either 5. You can get it some places. You can get it 5.5. So if you want to. If you think the Browns are definitely winning by a touchdown, I mean, you can get 5.5.
Oh yeah, I think the Browns by 10. That's what I'm going. I think it's probably gonna be like similar to the Ravens game. If maybe they get a touchdown late, but 17-3 is what I'm going with.
17-3.
Yeah.
So you like the way under.
yeah. I need to see Cleveland put more points consistently. But I don't think they're gonna sweat this game. I don't think it's gonna happen what happened with Carolina, where Carolina came back at the end. No, this is one of those games that Q's gonna chill. He's gonna be like, "Oh, we should have done this better. We should have done that better on offense." Blah blah blah. But what do you think about this game?
There are some interesting things here that pop up here with the New York Jets, right? I think Sauce and DJ. Is it DJ? I keep saying Reed. DJ Moore because we just played the Panthers. Reed. DJ Green.
Reed, I think it's Reed.
DJ Reed the second. Okay, yeah. They're good enough on the boundary to where they're going to do exactly what Carolina tried to do, which is play a ton of cover one. And I think that's going to be what a lot of teams try to do with Jacoby Brissett is, hey, we're going to take away, because, when the Browns play with a quarterback like Brissett, and, the same thing goes to like a Mitchell Trubisky or any quarterback that's not seen as like upper tier, right? Probably if you're not past Kirk Cousins on the Mendoza line, this is how teams are going to want to defend you. Is that first level, that's read 1, that second level is read 3, and that third level is usually going to be read 2, right? So they want the teams with those quarterbacks want to attack first and third as much as possible. They want to stay out that second level. What teams want to dare the Browns to do is attack that second level, because that's where mistakes get made. That's where you can throw a lot of interceptions. That's where you could take advantage of the gap in quarterback play. So they're going to be in a position where they're going to play a lot of cover one. Similarly, kind of to the Carolina Panthers, right, where they had 2 good corners, they have some decent safeties, they have some decent prospects on that defensive line. Now, again, I'm not overly familiar with their edge rushers. I mean, I'm familiar with Carl Lawson to an extent, but I'm familiar with him as a pass rusher. The issue some teams run into is, you have good edge rushers against the Browns, but that doesn't really mean as much if these aren't guys who are also good at run defense, right? If you look at the edge rushers who really trouble the Browns, it's because they're the patient ones. TJ Watt has always given the Browns a problem, right? And it's because he's one of the more, and it's crazy to call TJ Watt patient because every highlight, it seems like he's just bull rushing somebody and just getting to the backfield, but he can do that because he's very patient. And he's very, very stout in run defense with holding that edge, because what you see with a lot of these good pass rushers when they play the Browns is they're overly aggressive in against an offense that's going to misdirect you, right? So you'll see a lot of guys that can stop the run for the Browns when the run isn't on their side of the ball, because that way they can just chase after it. But if you run right at a Brian Burns, then you can run him out the play because he will run himself out the play, right? And that's kind of like, if I remember correctly with Carl, some of his problems were that you can run him out the play a little bit. And that's also why he gets a lot of pressures, but not a lot of sacks, because he's so aggressive upfield that you can end up using that momentum to stall him for a couple of extra seconds. Same thing happens with Clowney all the time. I'm not overly familiar with the clone of him that they have on the other side. He seems to be a little bit more productive, but I'm not overly familiar with him. Quinnen Williams, also interesting. It's just, when teams have strong interiors, there's always a coin flip against the Browns, because it's like the Browns have such a strong offensive line that you never know who's going to win that battle, right? Sometimes Cam Hayward makes Joe Bitonio look terrible. Sometimes you just don't hear from Cam Hayward at all, right? Like, so that's going to be a little bit of a flip. And I don't know how good Quinnen Williams is at this point. I don't think he's Cam Hayward. But I think outside of Aaron Donald, there's not a lot of guys who are really good at that 3-tech position at the level that, Cam is at. Like, it's just a shame for Cam, right, that Aaron Donald exists, because he kind of just erases.
Exactly. Right? I mean, the same thing with TJ and Miles, right? It's like if the other one didn't exist, then we would be talking about like,
we'd be talking about, oh my God, this 22nd pick in the draft is one of the best, but it just doesn't matter anymore, because people go, oh my God, look at Miles, right? Or, oh my God, look at TJ, whichever side of that coin you want to fall on. Right. And then we all ultimately end up going, ooh, Aaron Donald, right? Like, so it's just, I think I talked about it. This is one of the craziest pass rushing generations we've ever seen, because it used to be Mario Williams came out once every 10 years, right? A Jadeveon Clowney came out once every 10 years. Now you got Chase Young. You got all every 3 years, there's one of those guys that comes out. This year had 2 of them, right? We had Aiden Hutchinson and we had Travon Walker out of Georgia. And you just look, Micah Parsons. I mean, like, that's an incredibly talented player. And if you look at this, it's like, man, it's kind of similar to what happened with quarterback play, to where guys who are generational 10 years ago are good, really good now, but they're not necessarily looked at that in that same way, right? So, it's just an interesting point that we've been in with some of these positions, especially the positions that can go number 1 in the draft, the jump that they have taken over the years when it comes to athleticism and overall capability. But that being said, Tony, you want to say something real quick?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you there, but we do have a Jets fan in chat, and I don't know if maybe we need to put this guy in timeout. I know we usually put guys in timeout for for obviously kind of profanity and whatnot, but this guy said Quinnen is better than Hayward every year he's been in the NFL, and I mean,
okay, that's just ridiculous.
What are we doing?
I get that you're in the AFC East, so you don't watch Cam, and like, Cam's one of them players that if you don't watch, you don't understand. But like, understand that like Cam Hayward goes against the best 2 guards of football in Cleveland every year, and like routinely can plays very well. I mean, one year he really I thought Joe Bitonio was cooked. Like, based off of a performance that he had against Cam Hayward. I was like, that's it for him. The very next year, Joe Bitonio was the best guard in football, according to Pro Football Focus. Take that for whatever you want. But he clearly wasn't cooked.
Not a lot, but okay.
Cam was just really good. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of those players. I mean, like, DJ Reed kind of gets forgotten about in this conversation. All the guys on the Ravens, because they're on the Ravens, we just know the interior is good. We just kind of go, oh, Ravens. It is lump them in there. No, individually, these guys are really good. Justin Matabuki's taking the leap. Calais Campbell, I mean, he's found the fountain of youth. Like, he's really good there too. So again, it's just a tough spot for Hayward to be in, and I understand why Jets fans would underestimate. But I don't know. After you played the Ravens, who were the last place team in the North last year, and they just no contested you, I would be very wary about any type of assertions that you might feel like you have against any team in the North, because it's like it really isn't that much of a dip with any of these teams on a given Sunday. They're all very solid. So especially on the defensive end of the ball. Offensively, the Jets really don't concern me as much because they have some decent wide receivers.
Joe Flacco?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it, but also it's like you have Joe Flacco, which is not great, and then you add that on top of an offensive line that, again, last week I talked about what's your plan for Myles Garrett. This week I feel like you have an even worse plan for Myles Garrett, because at least the Panthers had a top 6 pick on Myles Garrett, right? There was reason to believe that could not be a disaster. You know what I mean? Even though it's looking like a disaster. This is like, I remember what it looked like in 2019 when who were they throwing out there at left tackle before they got Mekhi back there? DJ Fluker? Was it DJ Fluker? That was a beat down Myles put on that boy, right? Like, so, and this is a different Myles Garrett than in 2019. I think he's really taken a leap from 19 to 20 and 20 to 21 and to now on. He's a much more matured pass rusher. So you don't have a plan for Myles. Yes, you have some good wide receivers. Browns are very strong at corner, so I don't know how much that matters. Maybe you feel like you can run the ball, but I think this Browns defense, I don't think that's how they want to attack. They threw the ball 60 times with Joe Flacco in regulation. Wild to me. And I just don't think that's how they want to attack this year. I think they want to go and use these weapons. And the more you attack against a team like the Browns, I think the more you're playing into their hand. And then I don't think their run game's strong enough to really worry us as much, right? Like, it's going to sound crazy, but I feel like I had more fear for the Lions last year and DeAndre Swift than I do for what they can do as a running game, because I recognized very early, like, DeAndre Swift was him. Like, he's really, really good. And he continued to be really good. I think 15 carries. He had like 150 something yards last week. Hey, DeAndre Swift is
But the one thing, Q, I would say that Flacco used to like with the Ravens, and I think he has taken up a notch, is that pass to the running back. God, like between both of them, that was 20 targets, I think, between both running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And that got us a couple times.
And it's like Joe Flacco in his prime used to really push the ball vertically a lot. And that's one of the things I think he doesn't get credit for in his prime. I can't believe I used prime, Joe. In his peak years, right? He pushed the ball vertically a lot, right? In Baltimore, where that's where they had dudes who were just Mike Wallace and homeboy from Dancing with the Stars, right? They go downfield and Joe gonna throw it up there, right? That's the attacked offense app. Now he doesn't have those strengths as a deep ball thrower anymore that he used to in his peak. So now he's got a guy who's gonna throw it to the boundary, throw a lot of outs, because he still has enough arm strength to do that, but not necessarily to push it down the field from the opposite hash. And that's another area of concern that I would have if I were the Jets, because I just don't know how much more proof we need that pushing the ball laterally against the Browns just isn't that great of an idea with the speed that they have on the edges and with the speed that they have at linebacker. It has not been a great idea. Most teams, when they're able to attack, and if you look at where Christian McCaffrey was able to do damage against the Browns, is when they were able to run the ball from the gun up the middle or do something from the gun that attacked the middle. You want to push vertically and up the middle against the Browns. But the more you get towards the boundary, the more you play into our hands, because we have athletic DBs, bigger DBs that can tackle. So that's just not how you want to go about it, but that's going to be how they're going to attack. Now, they might let it loose and say, Garrett Wilson, go downfield, we'll throw it to you. But is Joe Flacco the guy that can execute that game plan on a consistent basis anymore? I just don't know about this, right? So I will cautiously, because this looks way too sure of a thing. I will cautiously say the Browns are going to win this one, but since it is the Browns and I know how they do me when I'm pretty confident that they should not do me like this, I will be cautious about it. But if I'm just looking at this from a football perspective, the Browns losing this game is only going to be an indictment on them and their lack of execution and discipline if they allow this to happen. So no excuse to lose it.
Okay, we have a super chat here. It says Cleveland last championship came the last year the owner used Brownie as the main logo.
It's a Jim
Modelo
Brown. Well,
versus
here's where this logo thing gets crazy because the reason the logo went away, one Art Modell hated the Brownie logo, which is why people want to bring it back because we still, till this day, his family has nothing to do with the Ravens anymore. We have a team again. We have rebuilt. Still till this day, it's like let's make Art Modell mad. Like he can't even be mad anymore. But yeah, it's about that too. Because he also told Jim Brown and Paul Brown to kick rocks. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? And then created the rest of the AFC North, which is insane.
I know you talk about wanting to see Tyvis Powell break down the Browns' defensive coverage. He did today the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. He broke down the Anderson TV and the 50-yard tight end catch and what went wrong.
Yeah, Tyvis is doing a great job transitioning from former player to media coverage. I've been watching his stuff. Yeah, he's doing a great job.
And then Steeler fan here says,
Go Steelers. Let's go Steelers.
Steeler fan 00027. What can I say to get me on the map? Go Steelers,
Go Steelers. Let's go.
Tony, what do you think? What
baby.
do you think about this game?
Me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have analysis on this game. It should be against the Geneva Convention.
The same play I did last week.
I mean, listen. It should be against the Geneva Convention that the four of us have to be subjected to Joe Flacco tape 4 weeks in a row. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that I had to last week after, I'm sitting there, I'm basking in the glory of my Steelers being 1-0. And it's like, how do I want to celebrate? Oh, right. I do need to go watch that Ravens-Jets game, all 60 minutes of it, so I can talk about it coherently on AFC North Talk. And now I got to do that. You're telling me I got to do that again this week? No, I mean, get out of here. Look, okay.
So, the question is, are you picking the over then?
Okay, here's what I'll say about this game. The Jets' defensive line is solid, right?
It's good. It's good.
It's a solid unit. And so I do think, look, you know, the Steelers and Browns right now are kind of the pointing Spider-Man meme, right? It's, you know, they're the same team. How many times over the last 2 years, as the Steelers have done this kind of how close to losing can we get without actually losing, have you guys thought that the Steelers were about to get upset by some joke team, and then at the very last minute they pull out a victory? I do think that's probably what we're going to watch on Sunday. I won't be shocked if that's what we're watching on Sunday. Right? If the Jets keep this thing close, if the three of us, if me, Ace, and Sonny on Sunday are thinking, oh my goodness, are the Browns about to lose to Joe Flacco and the Jets? Is this going to be a hilarious AFC North talk? And then at the end, the Browns put together some kind of drive and win it late. It's just what happens in these games. You know what I mean? It's just, no analysis from me here. There's no way Joe Flacco will win this game for the Cleveland Browns. I am almost certain of that. Myles Garrett, that pass rush, the secondary that they have, the fact that he is so immobile, Joe Flacco will find a way to win this game for the Cleveland Browns.
He doesn't release the ball as quick anymore, too. That used to be what would
like
save
95.
him from being immobile. Huh?
He's old. Joe Flacco never was like this, super athlete.
He's 37 now.
Well, he was an old guy when he got drafted out of Delaware, right? He was like 25.
No, he was like 23, I think.
23. I don't imagine you come out your junior year out of Delaware. But
I think he was 4 year, but yeah, around
4 year.
Yeah.
No, he came out as a junior. No, he came out
as a junior. Good for him. They don't usually do that.
Sorry, senior. He's a 3 year.
Senior. Okay, I'm about to say it's rare when you find out the FCS.
But I think he was 23 or 24 when he came out. Yeah, he wasn't like Kenny.
That used to be the calling card, though. Joe Flacco is like, hey, he'll get rid of that ball before you get to him, right? And that's really what allowed him to, especially like if we're talking 2013 after the Super Bowl to 2018, Joe Flacco, what really allowed him to kick it for like 3 years before they kind of bottom out was he get rid of the ball so you don't really get behind the sticks with him. He ain't gonna get you a lot of like touchdowns at that point, but he would get rid of the ball and you could allow the defense to win.
He'll get you some PI calls down the field for sure.
Oh yeah, some PI calls too. But yeah, that's one of the things. Is like when we talk about physical regression, we don't really talk about enough at the quarterback position is that kind of stuff, right? When that kind of stuff starts to fall off, we only talk about it in terms of arm strength. But there is regression that happens. And I mean, if you watched Matt Ryan last week,
Hey, Matty Ice, don't talk bad about my boy.
Hey, I'm just saying, like, people, I think Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady have made people think that these quarterbacks can play till 50. And I think that we're going to find out that Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady could play till they're 50. Everybody else can't play till they're 50.
Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady will probably play till
Tom Brady, we're going to start to realize that these are anomalies.
Yeah.
But I think we fooled ourselves into believing, oh, these guys can play till they're 40. Not everybody.
Nova Stone here with a super chat, not about Tom Brady. Dolphins will cover 0. Lamar Jackson needs to throw ball.
That's what they did last year. No. That's exactly.
They got away with it, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many times you want to go back to that.
No, I think
because
go back to that.
If you blow a cover 0 one time and that's a touchdown. Like, and I'm not even talking about like through the air. Like, let's say he just avoids the first guy on the cover 0, goes straight downfield. There ain't nobody gonna be there that's gonna be able to do nothing about him. That's how they want to roll. I don't know. Running man against a dude who can scramble like that is a proposition that I would not.
We'll definitely talk about that soon. Nova Stone. Ace, what do you think about this game?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're muted. Ace, sorry.
I was telling Tony this before the show. I think when I saw them say that Joe Flacco was going to start game number 2, I automatically thought 0-2. But looking at this game, the interesting thing was they did pretty solid against Baltimore against the run. But you have to account for the fact that Baltimore did not have Gus Edwards, did not have the other guy over there as well, JK, either. So was that really the Jets really stopping them, or was that just the fact that the Ravens were really putting out backups there? Obviously, they are somewhat solid against the run, but I think that their real test is going to be against Cleveland, right? I don't see them stopping Nick Chubb. I don't see them stopping Kareem Hunt. I think that's where this game is going to be dictated. Because of those reasons, it'll be close, but I think Joe Flacco will continue to end up giving up turnovers. That's my thing. It's not that Mike White is this amazing quarterback and that he's better than Joe Flacco. I just think that he's better at not turning the ball over than Joe Flacco is. And I think for the Jets right now, that's the best situation for them. With them going with Flacco, I think that they're going to be prone to that. I think Myles Garrett is going to have a field day, especially against that Jets offensive line. It gets interesting, though, because Sauce Gardner did have a good game last week. It'll be interesting to see how he does this week against Amari Cooper. But I think that the Browns will probably come out with a lot of 12 personnel, run the ball, establish that, and get out of there with a victory. So I think that this game, obviously, to me, kind of favors the Browns. With the Joe Flacco factor in there, I just can't get behind Joe Flacco beating anyone in a football game, especially the Cleveland Browns, with that defense, with that offensive talent. So I got the Browns in this one for sure.
There is a balancing act that I need to note that needs to happen here within the next 4 weeks for all of us, which is, how do you play well enough defensively to take advantage of Joe Flacco without playing so well that you get him benched, right? Like there is that balance.
I like that.
I don't want to play too well against Joe because I feel like the backup is better.
Call off the dogs. All right, guys, everybody chill now.
Hey, we have about 10. Let's relax. Let's let them get them 5-yard crosses.
Give them some nice underneath stuff. Yeah, let them get.
Let's give them a good completion percentage. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we ain't trying to put Mike White in the game. So it's that
I do like the Jets running backs, Michael Carter. I think he's an underrated guy. But I don't think that they're gonna do much against the Browns. I think this one is gonna be over.
So, by the way, voting closed. Browns 81% of the vote to take the W.
How many do you think the Browns cover, though? Browns by 6.
Ooh, the covering part is tricky.
I think they cover.
I think they.
You think so?
I don't know. So the Ravens game was what, 24-9?
24-10.
24-10. And it's 6 or 5 or 6?
It's 5.5 or 6, yeah. Depending on.
I think the Browns can get that. I think the Browns can cover that.
I don't think they cover just because, like, usually the teams don't play that great after like an emotional win the week before. So I think it's gonna be one of them like, what the hell the Browns doing? Kind of a deal. And then they kind of pull it out. But
Anime here says, you think that Cleveland Stadium will stop for Garrett's record sack? I mean, if he gets a sack record, he definitely stop. Anyway,
Well, you're talking about like the franchise record. No, they're not going to stop the game for that.
Well, maybe not.
They'll do something like in the
No.
first quarter, at the end of the
Is
first
it in
quarter.
Cleveland?
The NFC,
Yeah, it's in Cleveland.
the
Yeah,
NFL
it's in
won't. But if you're winning by a lot, the coach better take a timeout and just let him celebrate.
If you're winning by a lot and Myles Garrett gets the franchise sack record, take Myles Garrett out the damn game. Right?
Yeah.
Wait, it was 24-9. Did they miss an extra point?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
they did.
24-9.
They missed the extra point.
Yeah. They
Imagine
made an
missing,
extra point.
imagine missing an extra point. My
And they
goodness,
also
who does
missed a field goal. I'm telling you, kickers. Anyway, I don't have that problem. So, Tony, tell us
Neither
about
do I.
our sponsor.
Oh, we got a new sponsor here at AFC North Talk. Our friends at True Classic Football is back, baby. And our sponsor, True Classic, wants you to look and feel your best, even after a couple brewskis or going full force on your fantasy football draft. Sure, it's football season, but it's also butt to couch season. Luckily, True Classic has the absolute best fitting clothing a man can buy. Snug in the arms and chest with a little extra space in the torso, their t-shirts are designed to keep you cozy and highlight your best assets no matter what you're up to. So if your special someone is upset that you're watching football all day, at least you can look good doing it. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men find the perfect fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time, get 25% off with the code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word, at trueclassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing anything other than a few beers. Fellas, you're wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic's tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest, shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always feel confident to throw on. Not only are you finally getting a t-shirt designed for the male body, but the first thing you'll notice is how soft it is. The colors are prime too, and they can even match your team of choice. True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. They're your one-stop shop for men's essentials. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit to boxer briefs designed with a pouch to keep your bulge nice and comfortable. All their gear is top-notch and has reasonable prices. They have a dope pack builder on their website where you can get a custom bundle of all their essential products and save even more than we're offering you today. And for any of our defense-sized players, they have long body options for the tall guys and up to 3XL on their staple colors. Whether you have abs or flabs, their clothes look great on all body types. Let's stop beer belly shaming with better clothes. Men, let's be team players here. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and help your friends out by telling them about these tees as well. It's about time to get your fit together. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com, but you got to use our promo code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word.
And look, as somebody who learned this as experience in high school and going forward, the right t-shirt cut, young brother, can change your life. So invest in it. Make sure that if you want to make sure that you look good, don't just buy any shirt. You got to make sure it's the right shirt, the right cut, because the right kind of t-shirt just makes it all look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, t-shirts are very comfortable, very soft, well fitted.
You will notice the difference right away. It's the first. I mean, the first time I wore a True Classic shirt, I didn't realize I had it on. It's a white shirt. I usually wear white shirts as an undershirt, and I just had to put something on to go meet the wife for dinner. I threw on the True Classic as an undershirt. I could tell right away, like there's something different. This shirt feels good. It's there.
You start walking
really
different, and then you're like, so you gotta check it out. So many people don't think about these things when it comes to menswear. We used to just throwing on whatever, right? But just a little bit of thought, it's just the right stuff will get you going right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move to the next game. Bengals and Cowboys. I will say this, and with this, I'm gonna throw it to you, Ace. This with Dak might have been a game. That O-line has regressed a lot for the Cowboys, like a lot, and that team was not good against Tampa. I did watch some of that game. I was like, damn, the Cowboys look terrible. I mean, Micah Parsons looked good, but other than Micah Parsons, y'all know what I thought about Diggs last year. When everybody was hype about Diggs, I was like,
I realized why. I've realized why you don't like Trayvon Diggs.
Why?
Because
He's a Maryland boy too.
He basically is performing identity theft on Marcus Peters while he's been out with his injury.
No,
he basically has said,
no.
Hey, someone in this league's got to be the high variance. Like, I'm either giving up a touchdown or it's a pick six, and that's
the funniest thing about both of them is it appears they both did the same thing. They were both caking off of like, okay, they're getting these interceptions. Then everybody realized how they were getting them, and the second we all were like, that's how he's getting them. He's like, nah, I ain't how I'm getting them no more. Like, I'm gonna actually play DB now. Like, you know what I mean? It's hilarious how similar those two players are. Because Kansas City, really Marcus Peters was absolutely Trayvon Diggs last year. Like, that was absolutely what he was doing. But the second he got traded to Baltimore, he's like, let me go
let me settle
passive. Let me play two yards off, and then crash down. Like, he used to just be there.
So, but now we have Cooper Rush, and I know Cooper Rush has had his moment. I don't think the Bengals get another white, meaning from the Jets, moment with Cooper Rush. I think they're gonna just beat them out, like beat them. Like, the Bengals are angry, right? The players are like, we just lost a game that we thought we should have won. This game, by the way, is way less important because it's NFC. But I don't think they're coming flat. I think they're coming hard. They're going to show the Cowboys, you guys are going to be trash this year. And they're coming with a vengeance, and they're going to exploit the Cowboys. I think this is, how the other one I said comfortably, but not super high score. I don't know what the over-under is in this game. But I think the Bengals.
You like the over? You think you're on, because the over is low. The over is low. It's 41, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm going with the over. I think it's like 37.
You trust the Cowboys to put up
10 points.
See, this is my thing. I think this is the most trap over under I've ever seen in my life.
Because you look at it, go Bengals. Oh yeah, but it's
Bengals
like
can get to 41 by themselves.
Cowboys got scored like 14 points.
I think they scored 10.
You got to get some help on the other side. And,
I think they scored 10 with a late touchdown in garbage time, where the Bengals are gonna be like, okay, just sure. So I think it's gonna be like 37 or 33-10. Bengals dominating this game. That's how I see this game. Dominating. Ace, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, for me in this game, I was actually looking forward to having Dak playing this game, especially week 2. This was one of the ones that kind of worried me coming into the season, because you're playing Dallas at home. I do feel like Dallas has lost a lot of their luster because you go into the offseason, you get rid of Amari Cooper, you lose La'el Collins. Like, they're just in a really weird space from that standpoint. I know that they kind of doubled down on the whole they want Zeke to be the main guy kind of situation, but they just came out flat, and then Dak goes down with the injury. They also have Tyron Smith before the season starts go down with the injury. His injury, ironically, leads to Dak getting injured, right? Because the rookie is the guy that essentially didn't pick up the guy that ended up hurting Dak. And so in this situation, it's nothing that really terrifies me from an offensive standpoint, right? CeeDee Lamb has not shown that he can be the number one guy yet. And that's unfortunate because they don't have any receivers really around him that kind of take that pressure off of him. Outside of the tight end, Dalton is probably the next guy that you really concentrate on in that offense with Dalton Schultz. Zeke, I imagine that they would come out trying to run with Zeke and probably with Pollard. So that means that you have to try to establish that run game. But that's something that plays into the Bengals defense's hands because we're really good against the run. Cooper Rush, there is the unknown of not knowing what Cooper Rush is going to do. So they'll have to adjust to that. The thing that scares me about them coming off of the Steelers game, where is a game where we gave up turnovers, actually is Diggs and actually is Micah Parsons. You talk about the two Achilles heels in that game that really messed us up. You're talking about TJ Watt and that defensive line getting to Joe Burrow, and you're talking about the interceptions from Minka and guys like that. So the opportunistic aspect of Diggs gives me somewhat concerned. The one thing that makes me feel a little bit better is it seems that T. Higgins was back at practice. So I'm assuming that he must have passed the concussion protocol. So hopefully he can get back out there. But the one thing that worries me is if we start to concentrate specifically just on Jamar Chase, there is a possibility that that Diggs could pick one of those routes, and that's not where the Bengals want to go to. I think last week they learned a tough lesson that if they run cover 2, which I was listening to the podcast today with Joe Burrow and Colin Cowherd, and he did say that Dallas does have that in their repertoire, that they're just going to have to take what the defense gives them. And that's one of the mistakes that he made last week. And I think that he learned in that second half to not really force it into guys like that. And I think that we'll continue to see that against Dallas. I think that this will be a game where the Bengals come out, try to take care of business, but they need to establish the run more. They need to make sure that they just don't go for the jugular too early, because this is a similar situation to the one that they were in against Pittsburgh, thinking that, okay, if we get up some scores on Mr. Trubisky, we can end this game quickly. They don't need to do that. They just need to take what the defense gives them, try to score touchdowns, definitely improve in the red zone. That was another area that they struggled with last week. Try to cash in on those things and get out of Dallas with the W. So I do think we bounce back with this game, and I think that the Bengals do take this one. I don't know what the spread is. I think we're road favorites. Is it by 7 or something like that?
It's 7.5, and in some places it's 8 now.
7.5, 8. I mean, I could see that potentially. It just really depends on Cooper Rush, right? Like, how is Cooper Rush going to come out and play? Is he going to be able to score? It was interesting because I heard a Dallas fan on Spaces earlier say that she thinks that ownership, I know this is kind of unrelated, but ownership is sabotaging Mike McCarthy with purposely letting good players go away so that they can have a reason to get rid of them. Apparently, she says that they did this with Jason Garrett. I don't know how true that is, but hopefully the Bengals can come out of here with the victory. But I do think it is kind of weird that the Cowboys literally did nothing to replace any of the guys that they lost. Like, you talk about Amari Cooper, you talk about them losing La'el Collins, even though I guess they drafted a guy, but they just really didn't go out aggressively like we're used to the Cowboys doing. So this does seem like a down year for them, and I think the Bengals come out with the victory.
Yeah, I will say this. I think the Cowboys also have just a lot of bad contracts right now on the books, right? The Z contract is bad.
The Z contract is a killer. Never pay a running back.
But not only that, Lawrence, right?
Lawrence is another one. DeMarcus Lawrence. That's another guy that I'd be worried about as well. But yeah.
The question also with the Bengals, I'm assuming they will do this. They will double team Micah and said, the rest of y'all, if you can get to him.
Yeah, I would want to definitely chip that guy somehow.
They did a good job against Watt doing that last week because they chipped him a ton. They did it last year too.
And he was on fire in that game against the Bucs. Like, he was the only guy for the Cowboys that looked amazing.
Yep. Noah Stone here says, how many turnovers for Joe Burrow baked this week? I say 3.
3?
I say maybe 1, maybe. Okay,
Q. I have 7 interceptions to start. That's crazy.
Yeah,
all right. Well, no, he had like 5 turnovers last week.
Four. Yeah, it was 4.
Law of averages says he probably won't have any this week, right? Like, but about this game, yeah, this is kind of a similar game that they were going to play last week, right? You're playing against a good defense, except for, and I'm surprised I'm saying this. Look, Dallas's offense is just not as capable as Pittsburgh, and that is saying something. It's a far less capable offense, especially with Cooper Rush back there. I mean, even when Dak was there, that was tough to watch. Now, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I mean, like, they're supposed to be a playoff contending team, and that just didn't look good at all. But yeah, the only thing with the Bengals is, like, they're kind of in the same tier with the Ravens. I need Bengal fans to understand when I say this, when I have criticisms about your team, it's not that I think every team in the league can take advantage of them, right? The Bengals, I do feel like, have some glaring flaws that do need to be addressed sooner than later, but it's not like I feel like everybody is good enough to take advantage of them. Similarly to when I'm critical about the Ravens. Do they have flaws? Yeah, but that don't mean I think they're going to lose to like a sub-average team because of it, because not every team is good enough to take advantage of them. The inefficiency for the Bengals has been a problem. It will probably not be super efficient this week, but they're going to have opportunities after opportunities after opportunities in this game, because I just don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the time of possession game, and they're going to be able to hold on to the ball long enough to make, the inefficiency matter to the Bengals, right? There's a reason why, if you look at Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor's time, the reason the AFC North team they've struggled against is the Browns, is because the Browns are the one team that do hold on to the ball take time of possession away, and that's rarely where they can exploit some of that inefficiency from the Bengals offense. The Dallas Cowboys are not that. I don't think they're great in the offensive line anymore. And Zeke is just, he got that weird face mask now. It's just like it's kind of sad watching Zeke now, right? It's just like, oh yeah, Zeke's there. It's like when you ever hear like Ludacris drop a new album and you're like, oh, he's still dropping music. That's just how I feel. Like all it does when I see you out there, Zeke, is remind me of when you used to be hot. But it don't drop like that no more with him, though. Like, it's just not the same. And it's like, I don't know how to do about that when people want Tony Pollard to play over you. Like, it sounds like a rap.
Tony Pollard
Like, yeah, it sounds like a rap. I just don't know how to look at them. And yeah, they have CeeDee Lamb. They have some guys who are pretty good at the yak who could theoretically be a threat on the offense, but it's just not panned out, right? Like, it seems like something's missing on that offense, even when Dak was there. And without Dak, I mean, that's going to be even more. Like, this isn't an offense that was able to exploit not having heavy boxes on them, even though they had a good quarterback and what looked like a good wide receiving core out there. Now that they don't have the quarterback, that's not going to change anything. Defensively, yeah, will Micah Parsons be able to get there? Some guys give Jonah Williams a problem. Some guys don't. I don't know where Micah Parsons is going to fly on that category because it seems to be pretty random on which guys give Jonah Williams problems. That right side of the offensive line for the Bengals did play actually well. If you look at like their win percentages and the pressure against, I think they only gave up three the whole game between the whole right side of the offensive line. So that's not a terrible performance. And I expect as they play more together, it's probably going to get together there. The run blocking stuff for the Bengals, yes, that is a concern. I don't know if that changes this week, but I don't know if it matters. And I think the Bengals are just a better team right now, especially in the Cowboys. If they lose this game to the Cowboys, then something is wrong, right? I think we can all get to the points where like, okay, it wasn't one game. These are two times where you played a good defense with a lackluster offense, and your offense was not efficient enough to handily win that game with some top tier pieces. And I know that T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd went out early in that game, but also, you do still have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And for a lot of teams, that's enough, right? Like that honestly should be enough, and if this is a situation where people are convinced that the Bengals cannot be a top level, well, I don't want to say top level, but a top half NFL, well, they will be top half.
Yeah, they'll be
the top 10 offense because they don't have two other top 25 wide receivers on top of Jamar Chase. I would indicate that that's a problem, right? Because not most teams have that. So you need to be able to do it if it's just Jamar Chase, because, I mean, they figured it out in Buffalo, right? How to elevate the play of a Gabriel Davis to take the most out of a Stephon Diggs with the Josh Allen. You need to be able to do that and operate at that level of efficiency as well. So, I don't anticipate us coming on here and talking about the Cowboys winning because I just don't see it as a realistic possibility. But if it does happen, I think some real, I'm just bringing it up, kind of like how I brought up the Lamar thing a year ago. I'm just bringing it up. But if you lose to the Cowboys, then this becomes a real, we need to start talking about
panic time.
If this is going to be something that's going to really hold you back, because that's two examples in a row. On top of last year, especially the beginning portion of last year, where the inefficiency was really hurting them. Now, again, you have Jamar Chase. You throw it to Jamar Chase enough times, he will score, right? It doesn't matter how efficient you can be sometimes when you have a guy like that. But, I think we'll see with some of these issues, but I expect them to be able to beat the Cowboys.
Okay, let me go with Super Chat Tony, and I'll throw it to you. Will says the Panthers average 7.7 yards per play the last 35 minutes of the game. As that would have been third in the league last week. What kind of nonsense is this ish, man?
Well, I mean, it's true, but how did you get to that number is the question you need to ask.
Well, that one is if they did have
that's one of those ones where you're like, hey, yeah, you probably need to subtract some plays to get a more.
You learn about outliers and statistics, right? Where you're like, you probably need to take out the outliers and then see.
There's a 70 and a 50-yard play in there that's like, okay, yeah.
Minka might be talented, but he was headhunting all three of our receivers. It wasn't okay when Perfect did it. It isn't okay when Minka
What
does it.
what I'll say is this. I think Minka did try to hit him with a hard hit. I don't think his goal was to take the player out of the game. I mean, Minka's a great player. We all saw that last Sunday. You can't discredit him. I mean, you can say the same about Vontez. You talk about the chippy play, but I don't think that they're comparable in terms of like their history. But both great players. I think Minka just played a great game. That's it, bro. It's nothing more than that. He tried to come up with a big hit with that Black Air Force energy. I think he accomplished that, but I don't think it was, hey, I'm trying to take T. Higgins out, or hey, I'm trying to take our receivers out.
Yeah, we need to
One
stop
thing I'll say
calling
here-
aggressive defenders dirty because they're
Yeah,
aggressive,
it's-
right? Like that's just
For any of you who watch college, it really has, like, my dad always says they're ruining football. They're ruining football. But my enjoyment of college, this targeting rule that they put in, that they just, anytime anything is even close to the head, they throw kids out of games. And, we talk about like 15
yeah, for one.
Yeah, one targeting call and you are gone. And look, I get it. In college, you don't want kids launching at each other because the majority of these kids aren't going to do something other than NFL play. I mean, these guys are going to go on to, to have, lives outside of sports. And so I get it. You don't want like massive headhunting plays in college, but we throw those guys out of the game. It's ridiculous. I think that part of it is like any sort of like big hit now, we just go, that's dirty. It's dirty play. Like, this is still, at the end of the day, football is still a contact sport. Right? I mean, they're still trying to hit each other.
Yeah, and it's like when it was in contact sport, we really need to accept the notion that shit happens, right? Like sometimes you're just trying to make a play on the ball and somebody stumbles and you weren't anticipating this because your head is down trying to make a tackle and it looks bad. But sometimes it happens, right? Like, and I think I don't know. Vontez was in a different era, so I don't know how that got evaluated back then. But especially now, it's like every time there's a questionable block or an aggressive play made, people trying to act like JOK's tackle on Lamar Jackson was dirty because he grabbed his ankles. What? Like,
the best was the chop block on Thibodeau in the preseason. I think is again, we're talking about that's a always dirty play going after his knees. Like, no, this is
he should be in jail. Like, what?
It's a normal play. Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
It's legal. It's a legal play. It's just. I get we want to protect players and we want to protect their head, but we're also not protecting them when we call them dirty players and sully their reputation for being aggressive football players like we tell them to be, right? We can't have it both ways. So, we really should stop. Yeah. We should retire calling players dirty unless it's like the most egregious thing is like when Miles slapped Mason in the head with the helmet. Okay, yeah, you can argue that might have been a dirty play. Like you could argue. That's a bit egregious, right? There's an argument. That's a bit egregious.
It's a good topic for your debate club. Those of you high schoolers out there, was Myles Garrett swinging his helmet on Mason Rudolph a dirty?
Was that a bit above and beyond what we expect out of an aggressive football player? But when it's something that's in these margins, we really should back off of the whole. Was that a dirty play or not? Because it fosters the most useless conversation possible. And then two, it's like we're really ruining reputations of people for doing their jobs, which is to tackle people.
So Tony, tell me, what do you think about this Dallas Cowboys and Bengals? Are you gonna tell me the same thing? LOL. What am I even doing?
No. I think for me in this one, look, whenever I took notes down for this game, I just kept starting with the same thing. Like, come on, they can't lose to Cooper Rush. They just can't. But then it's like, well, they did lose to Mitch. So, I guess they can't lose back to back, right? I mean, that's, where I kind of land on this is they can't lose to Cooper Rush and Mitch Trubisky back to back. I think this feels much more like a get right type game, right? A bounce back game than it does another letdown. Because, like, look, people got mad at me on Monday's show for the regression talk. And I get it. Like, is it early to be talking about regression? Yes, it is only 1 week. Yeah, it's too early. But I do think, as far as the storyline of the offseason, which was, will the Bengals offense regress? And they have that game. I think it's a fair discussion, at least, even if, yes, I am too early to say that it's definitive regression. But losing to the Cowboys, like, it would not be when we talk about regression, right? We're talking about, like, is this team going to be able to go on the kind of run that they did at the end of last season through the AFC, beating the Chiefs twice once in Kansas City? There's another word for it. If they lose to Cooper and Mitch, right? We're not talking about that. That's not regression. Then all of a sudden that's panic button time, right? And that's different from what I'm talking about. So, look, the line is 7.5 or 8. Like I said, I don't think they're going to lose this game. And I think Ace hit on it. If they do struggle in this game, it will be because of the same thing they struggled with Pittsburgh, which is the pressure on the quarterback and the sacks. Diggs is he's a ball hawk, right? I mean, he's going to kind of try to bait you into it. Watching the all 22 of Burrow, I will say there were so many times where I had to re-watch the play because I just couldn't believe that Joe Burrow made the throw. It's like, why is he even the Minka pick six on the cover 2 play where he's throwing to Higgins? I don't understand what Burrow saw there. I don't understand why he even tried to make that throw. I've always said about Burrow that he's such a cerebral guy, right? I mean, I compared him to Brady last year because he is built. I mean, maybe is he on Brady's level? That's a different discussion. But as far as
getting Overstone started.
Yeah, I know. But what I mean is like, look, he's not a toolsy guy, right? We've talked about Joe Burrow's arm strength in the past. He's not going to go out there and make every throw. He's not Josh Allen, but he is kind of a guy who kind of understands his own limitations and can be very anticipatory, understand what the coverage you're looking at, take what the defense is giving you, that type of player. And when I watched him on Sunday, kind of rewatching him with the all 22, he kind of turned into like this YOLO Joe, where it just felt like I'm going to give my guys chances to make plays and stuff. But in situations where it's like, yo, dude, that's not a pass you can make, especially with your arm. And so I wonder in this game, he's going to have to be more disciplined because Diggs will take advantage of him, as will Micah Parsons as far as getting pressure. But on the other side of this, and Sonny, this is where I think I'm going to disagree with you. I may take the under in this game. Like if I was going to bet on NFL this week, I think the under in this game is something I really like because the Cowboys offense was the worst offense in the National Football League a week ago. And that was before Cooper Rush came in the game. I mean, Dak Prescott and that offense was doing, jack. And then Cooper Rush came in. I mean, obviously nothing really changed. But this is the Mike McCarthy thing. The funny point, Ace, that you made there about they're sabotaging Mike McCarthy. I mean, they don't really need to sabotage Mike. He's doing a good job of that himself, I think, week to week. I mean, I think Mike McCarthy has done a great job in his career of sabotaging himself. So ownership doesn't just let him do his thing. They talked a lot this year about reestablishing the run with Zeke and everything. Oh, we're going to get Zeke going. This is Zeke's year. I mean, that's fine. I hope they get Zeke going. They're going to need to get Zeke going this year because that passing game he's not going to come together. It doesn't seem like. So I just cannot see the Cowboys putting up the amount of points that it would take. Or certainly, I mean, when you look at what the Steelers did a week ago, they did it all defensively. I mean, their offense gave them no help, none, zero. I mean, the defense had to go out there for 100 plays, the most snaps of any team in 20 years. The Cowboys aren't doing that. They're not doing that.
They're not that as good as a defense, right?
No, they're not as good at defense. They're not as well coached, and so the Bengals will win this game.
Easy dub is what you're
easy
saying.
dub. Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't.
you bring up an excellent point that I did not factor in was the gap of coaching that they face from week 1 to week 2, right? Like, it's different when it's Mike Tomlin.
Mike
Brian
McCarthy,
Flores,
Terrell Austin, versus
those two Mikes aren't the same.
Yeah, I guess Dan Quinn. I mean, Dan Quinn's not a terrible DC, but
but it ain't like having Brian Flores in the linebacker room.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, and then fans, you said 84% of you had the Bengals.
Only 84. Wait, how many was on the Browns?
82, I think.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
This is always like a 15%.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was saying, like, you got to work in the haters. There's always gonna be haters. The Steelers is gonna be like 50-50. I already know. I know. Listen, I know how AFC North Talk works.
It's like 12% haters and then 3% people who believe in terrible quarterbacks. So
but there's one thing the rest of the teams in this division can agree on, which is that we all hate the Steelers. I mean, you guys all hate the Steelers. There's no like, well, Steelers can win this one. It's like, no, I want them to lose. I'm clicking the other team's button.
To be fair, I'm gonna disclose this. Although I thought there was no chance in hell the Steelers was gonna win, when I was watching the score, because I'm watching the Ravens game, the scores below, I told my wife something that she probably hasn't heard of before. I said, like, God damn, I want the Steelers to win. I also told her if I can make them both lose, that will be my go-to.
Right.
But since that's not gonna happen,
I was rooting for the tie because that's just the meme right there. Like the Steelers getting another tie. Like, come on now.
Yeah. I mean, my protest vote. You don't think I can go
overtime? That was pre-overtime. But the one thing is the tie usually benefits the damn Steelers too. Usually at the end of the year.
Yeah, they usually end up at the end of the year like, oh yeah, look how beneficial this damn tie was. Like last year.
and this is, we're sidetracking here, but when they were about to tie, I told my wife also, man, this damn Q. He said that the Steelers are going to go 8-1. Here's the effing tie, but they didn't get the tie. Anyway, I regress.
I was watching it in disbelief. I was like, no way. Because there was like what, a minute 20 left. Boswell had already, well, no, it was like 5 seconds left. Boswell had already bombed the kick.
Yeah,
like McPherson bombed one and got one blocked. And I was just like, there's no way, because I was watching this game on my periphery the whole time, and when I saw the Bengals had the ball with like a minute left, I was like, okay, Joe Burrow's gonna do the thing, right? Like he's gonna do the thing. I saw him hit the 908 route to Jamar Chase underneath to get the easy 15. I was like, oh, he's doing the thing. This is the thing. They'll get this into the touch and red zone, and they'll score. And I remember I looked back down at my tablet. I was like, how is this game still going on? Because I saw them score. I was like, what happened?
Who was the guy that fumbled?
Burrow.
No. Some Burrow threw a pass for a first down, and then whoever the dude was, that was in OT. I'm talking OT.
No. Okay, here's what happened. Okay, so you caught that play wrong. Here's how it goes. Mollett, it's a nickel blitz from Mollett who beats the edge. Gets Burrow. Burrow fumbles. The ball goes down at midfield. Samaje
Piran picks it up.
But you can't advance a fumble.
You can't advance a fumble after the last 2 minutes. I didn't know that got into overtime, though, because it's normally the last 2 minutes of regulation. I didn't know it meant from here on out, you can no longer. That's a dumb rule.
Yeah,
that's a really dumb rule. I know they do it because they don't want that fumble.
Piran's wife and his mom was sitting behind me when that happened. And they were they were excited, and then it was like, oh nope, it's not happening.
Well, I knew it was gonna, but no. I'm thinking about another.
Is it the last 2 minutes of a half too? You can't like once a 2 minute
all
warning.
The fourth quarter, right? Isn't it like the whole fourth quarter? You can't advance.
No, it's 2 minutes. It's final 2 minutes. But I'm like, I think because it happened in the Browns Jets game in the first half after the 2 minute warning, where like Baker fumbled, but Joe Bitonio picked it up and ran it for like 10 yards, and they were like, you can't do that. And
so in that rule, if let's say Joe Burrow fumbles, Samaje Piran gets it, right? Does he have to like lateral it back to Joe Burrow?
Burrow has to be the one to pick up
Burrow
the
can be the only player that can advance the play.
Once another player picks up the fumble, it's dead right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So no matter where Samaje picks it up, it's just dead.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What's the play that they're trying to that they pretty much instituted? Was that the immaculate reception that they did that
No.
for?
It's like a John Madden thing where he would have his guys fumble intentionally forward.
Yeah.
And then pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. John Madden ruined everything, right?
Okay. Let's talk about Steelers Patriots. We're talking about Q's boy, John McCorkle, against the Steelers defense.
Let it loose, pop it loose.
Young McCorkle did not look great in last game. Young McCorkle and the Patriots offense, this mystery offense, right? That was all I heard in the offseason. The Patriots offense, you don't know what it's gonna be. Who's the OC? Nobody knows. Well, they still don't know because that offense looked horrendous. I think the theme of this week has been bad offenses against our division so far, right? Like the Bengals are not going to have a good offense the Bengals are going against a bad offense. The Browns are going against a bad offense. And third, the Steelers are going to go against a bad offense. I mean, this pains me to say it, but I think the Steelers are going to be 2-0 when it's all said and done. Because even the defense, it wasn't like it was spectacular. Although I think the Dolphins are a way better team than people gave them credit for, too. But this offense from the Patriots. And then also, we're talking about Mac Jones being hurt, right? I think he's going to play, but he's going to be hurt. I think the Steelers, now, we'll see how much Watt impacts this game, right? The not having Watt, that is the key. Because Highsmith played really good last week. But now Dolphins can say, well, I'm going to key on this guy because I don't have Watt on the other side. The rest of the injury players, I think they're gonna be good, right? We're talking about Najee should be back, right, Tony?
I think at this point, everyone is at least limited in practice this early in the week, which is probably a good sign. But we will know.
Protocol?
Who?
No,
Najee? He had an ankle.
Ankle, something like. I think that the Steelers establish the run, play action, nothing too complicated for Mitch. And yeah, I know that's not
Establish the
typical.
run.
I know that's not
Since when?
typical. I know that's not typical, but I think the Steelers are gonna try to attempt to establish the run.
Yes. Actually establishing it. That's where the
They ain't done
problem
that
starts.
since like 2017.
Since Bell. No. They had a good year for
Connor had a decent year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, James Conner had that one.
Anyway, but the trick here is no Watt, Bill Belichick on the defensive side. But I think this is a game that they're gonna win because they're gonna confuse Mac Jones. He's gonna make a mistake, and they're gonna win the game. Now, I think this game is close. I don't know what is the over and under, Tony.
The under, or you want the over under, or you want the line?
Both.
What do you think the line is?
-3.5.
You like by 3.5?
This is in Pittsburgh, right?
It's in Pittsburgh.
This feels like a
Over.
push, 1.5 to me. Like
-3.5.
It's Patriots by 2.
Oh, +2 or -2?
No, Patriots -2 in Pittsburgh.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take Steelers +2. I'll take it.
Yeah,
because I think the Steelers probably win by a field goal in this game. That's what I'm thinking. Steelers.
There was a 2.5 on the board a little early. There still is a 2.5. God, if it ever got to 3, I'm gonna responsibly put my life savings on the Steelers +3. If the Steelers lose, they're not losing by more than a field goal. But
yeah. And what is the over under?
Like 40, I think. Hold on, let me look it up.
Oh, I'll take the under too.
I think I like the over.
You like the over?
40 or 40.5.
Cork going to cork it loose.
I think this game 17-13. That's what I'm gonna go. 17-13 Steelers.
It feels too easy it feels too easy to get there. I feel like this game gets played in the 20s. But yeah.
It might be. But I think the Steelers win this game.
Yeah, I mean, look. So you hit on it there, right? No TJ Watt in this game.
Before you go, the one thing is the Steelers last year at home, not good. So we'll see in the trend. Last year, I felt like on the road.
What was bad? What was bad at home? How many home games did they lose last year?
I feel like last year
it was one to Cincinnati. We're not going to talk about that one.
I thought last year they were road warriors. The Steelers.
Oh, we were just warriors last year, right?
Oh,
we were
okay.
just...
Okay, Tony, take it away.
They were
man.
good against the Browns at home last year. I know that. So.
Yeah. That was a great game. I like that one. Wish I was there.
Stupid Monday Night Football. How in the world was that a coincidence, by the way, NFL schedule makers? Oh, yeah. We're going to give them a Monday Night Football game against the Cleveland Browns at home. And oh, by the way, that's going to be his literal swan sum in that stadium. How? And it's the last time it's ever called Heinz Field. Stop telling me that was a coincidence. That was not a coincidence. No, y'all knew what y'all was doing there.
It was football justice.
Took the Browns out of playoff contention the day before too. I'm just saying.
Let's talk about the opening game at Acrisure. Like Sonny said, no TJ in this game. Which, that's going to have an impact here. I mean, look, and it's not just like, okay, how many pressures is Malik Reed going to have that's the replacement, or, it's the plays that TJ makes that, are the kind of, the wow plays. I love Tomlin's comment during his presser this week when they were, he was asked about the leadership, and he said, oh, what do you need out of your defensive leaders to get everybody to play up? And he said, he said, we're good on leadership. I need Minka and Cam to make probably 2 or 3 more plays a game now. That's what they're missing. The leadership will be fine.
I need people who can run 4-3.
Exactly.
And tackle.
I'm gonna need some craziness out there.
I think leadership now. Like we don't need no more.
I think this is like the perfect game at the perfect time for the Steelers because of what happened last week, right? I mean, the Steelers shocked the world against the Bengals, and now it's just kind of like you just want to take a temperature. Like, okay, who are the Steelers exactly? What did I just watch? Because did that Bengals win really change your expectations of who this team is? I mean, I know that look, as far as the defense goes, my expectation going into the year, I said I thought this team would go back to top 5 defensively. Now that was, as I said before, I thought that was a legendary performance from that defense because they had to do it solo, right? I mean, you think about modern defense and how much it's about complementary football, right? You don't want to expose your defense, even as good as it is, because all of football now is like all efficiency based, and the more opportunities a team gets, the worse it's going to be for you and whatnot. The fact that team went out there for 100 plays and did what they did, but we need to talk about the offense, right? I mean, like, look, we had a lot of fun on Monday's show, but Steeler fans, we got to have a talk about this offense because the stuff I'm hearing from Steeler fans about this offense is driving me up a wall. I was on Locked On Steelers the other day with Chris Carter, and we talked about Mitch Trubisky. And so many Steeler fans have this idea in their head that, well, Mitch wasn't that bad. He didn't lose it for the Steelers. I mean, he didn't have any turnovers. He was good. Yeah. What do you want out of him? He didn't lose the game. He didn't lose the game. They had 5 turnovers, guys. Like, what are we talking about? How do you have 5 turnovers? And you're talking about, well, at least he didn't lose the game for him. I mean, they should have blown him out. We should have been sitting on Monday talking about a 45-point blowout against the Bengals. That's what should have happened if this offense was anywhere close to competent. Teams since 2012, teams that got 5 takeaways and did not turn the ball over, which is what happened on Sunday, averaged 35 points per game. I mean, you get 5 takeaways, you should be putting up big points. And the Steelers took till the last play of overtime. It took 5 quarters for this team to get to 23. Mitch Trubisky in this offense was a disaster on Sunday. And as good as that defense is, I'm here to tell you, Steeler fans, if that offense doesn't get good and get good quickly, not even good, just get anywhere close to competent, I predicted this team to get to 7, and they're not getting to 5. I mean, you know, they maybe just will get to 5. Now, one of those 5 will have been against Joe Burrow in the home opener, and, you know, fun win. But other than, you know, that will be one of the 5. But I mean, I don't know how this team is going to continue to do this week in and week out defensively. Mitch Trubisky was late and inaccurate. And in this offense, a Matt Canada offense that isn't, you know, we're not talking about rocket science offense here. Okay. I mean, the Matt Canada offense is pretty simple. You know, we're running the old slant flat play. I mean, that's all it is. We all run it in Madden. It's a pretty simple play. If the guy goes to the running back, you throw to the slant. And if the guy goes to the slant, you throw. I mean, we're not talking about rocket science stuff here. And Mitch is late and inaccurate on the majority of his throws. Mitch Trubisky as a drop back passer right now was a disaster. You can't be late when we're talking about timing routes when everything's short. We're talking about a whip route against inside leverage, and he's kind of triple hitching it so the defender can get an extra step on the ball. You can't have that in a Matt Canada offense. And then all this team does is throw down the sidelines. And Mitch he was a disaster in those plays. The Deontay catch is beautiful, and I love it. But that catch is made because that ball was horrifically thrown to Deontay Johnson. Mitch Trubisky has to be way, way better. I mean, that offense, again, 5 turnovers and just 23 points. I mean, disaster performance. Now, there's reason to believe it will get better because, like I said, the Bengals are a great matchup for the Steelers in that they match up really well because they can sit in too high. They can say, we're going to stop you with our front 7. You're not running the football, and you're not getting anything deep, so you're going to have to beat us with press man underneath. And so that did slow down and basically shut down the Steelers. There's reason to believe it will get better. But I don't want to hear Steeler fans telling me today that, well, Tony Trubisky didn't lose it for us. Give me a break. He nearly did lose it for them. It took until and by the way, what is the identity of the Steeler offense right now? What exactly do they do? You know, I mean, we talked about the short passing game. They couldn't do that. They were a gimmick offense. I mean, this is a gadget offense. How did they get yards on Sunday? The flea flicker, the end around flea flicker, a tight end screen, Mitch running for his life out there, all the end arounds that they ran. I mean, when it came time for Mitch Trubisky to drop back to pass and convert a 3rd down, he was incapable of doing so. And that's the kind of thing that we can laugh about it on Sunday because it was hilarious that they ended up winning that football game. But if all of a sudden our expectation is going to be that this defense is so good that they could carry this team to the playoffs, I will agree with you on only if Mitch Trubisky gets to some level of competence. Because what we talked about before, we didn't have high expectations for this team, but we did say, look, Mitch might be better on 1st and 2nd down. Maybe not on 3rd down, but 1st and 2nd. He wasn't even that. So this offense has a long, long way to go before we're going to get anywhere near the level of competence that Steeler fans want to believe this team could get to. Now, when it comes to like the Mac Jones and all, and you know, stopping this Patriots team, and their offense is just as big as a disaster as the Steelers is. You know, I mean, Mac Jones was real bad last week. I like the Patriots running game, though. I've always liked Damian Harris. He came from Bama. They do a little rotation there. Although I think Ty Montgomery got hurt this week, so he won't play. He actually was like a rotational guy there in New England.
And the only guy that scored a touchdown for him.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing to think about in this game, and I know Steeler fans are thinking, oh, this Patriots game is going to be an easy win. It's not going to be an easy win if Mitch doesn't show up. But it also might not be an easy win because defensive conditioning is going to be put to the test here. That defense played 100 snaps on Sunday. We're coming right back, and they got to play a home opener against the Patriots. And you know that this a Belichick team is not going to go out and just lay down for the Steelers. Never have and probably never will. I mean, that's just been the Steelers and Patriots in their history. So it's going to be on this defense and from a conditioning standpoint to be up to the test to kind of keep the Steelers in this one late. Because I don't imagine, look, I think it's going to be, you know, just like you guys said, like a 23-20, another 23-20 or another 27-24. right down to the wire. I'm going to be, the never in doubt tweets coming out at about 4:25 on Sunday. That's what it's going to be for me. I mean, I think I do think the Steelers win this game, but I'm not going to be shocked if on Monday we're talking about a Steeler loss. I mean, I think this is going to come down to the last 2 minutes and which of these two quarterbacks can actually put together a drive. Because I am right now, I am not in love with what I'm seeing offensively from the Steelers.
Ace, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Yeah, this is going to be the test for me, I think, for the Steelers to see how much of not having TJ Watt impacts this game. Because outside of Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Hayward, TJ Watt was literally all over that Bengals game last weekend. I mean, the guy had an interception jumping up and picking off Joe Burrow last weekend. And this is like a guy that we talk about that's like a top 5, top 10 NFL player. Like that's a major loss to take away. I think it would be like if the Bengals were to lose a Jamar Chase or something like that of that nature. So I think defensively, I have to see how they bounce back. Now, the fact that they are going against this weak Patriot offense, Mac Jones did get hurt and they brought in the backup, but this has been an anemic offense that we've seen from the Patriots to only put up 7 points last weekend, right? I also wonder, like, if they are going to run the cover 2, is that something that the Patriots can take advantage of? Because the Patriots do have some capable tight ends. They do have a decent running game to kind of match that. So it's going to be a little bit of a different plan this week. The one thing that I wonder about is, like Tony said, the offense for the Steelers struggled. You're going against Bill Belichick, so that's going to be another test there. But can they outscore the Patriots? I think the fact that they're playing at home gives me some confidence that they can. The one thing that I just sits in the back of my head is I'm getting flashbacks to the preseason and when they were cheering for Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh during that game. And if Mitchell Trubisky comes out like he did against the Bengals, it's going to be only a matter of time before people are cheering for Kenny Pickett on the sideline. And
it'll be like the first drive.
Yeah. How does that affect Mitchell Trubisky mentally, right? Does that cause him to have some issues? Like, how big of a deal is that? I think the fact that he didn't have to worry about that week 1 was a major thing in their corner. How does he kind of deal with that going into this? How healthy is Najee Harris? Because I think he's also a key part for this Steelers offense. I'm going to take the Steelers here, but just like Tony, it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots could come out of this. And I think it all comes down to TJ Watt. Is Highsmith able to really man that D-line by itself? Is he going to get some help from Wormley? This is where we're going to see it, but I think that is a major guy that they're missing on defense, but maybe they can still pull it out. And I think, like Tony said, they're just going to need more plays from Minkah. They're going to need more plays for Cam Hayward for those guys to come up. And maybe Miles Jack is a guy that steps up for them this week to try to help kind of supplant that loss. But I've got the Steelers here in a very close one. I do think that it's going to be tough out there. I just can't honestly believe in this Patriots offense. Not that I believe in Mr. Trubisky, but the Steelers might pull Mr. Trubisky and throw Kenny Pickett out there. I don't think that the Patriots have anything that they could really go to as a backup in their offense.
Yeah, and even if you think about that, both offenses are equally bad, right? Let's assume the defense of Steelers is significantly better than the Patriots. The Patriots defense is not bad. Not as
I will say Matt Judon, that is a guy that I would keep my eye on for the Patriots defense.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Your boy, the former Raven, Matt Judon.
Should have never let him go.
They got the other one. They had Matt Judon and it was Zaire. He was on the.
No, is it here about Zadarius Smith?
Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith, yeah, they had him too.
What a tandem.
Judon left, and now they putting him in the NFL top 100. He was higher than Trey Hendrickson.
It's like you got to leave Baltimore to get that credit. What? Look at Marquise Brown. What's his score going to be? After this year, they're going to put him in the top 100 now.
Oh no, he was in it. Judon was in it last year. You said who else?
I said Marquise Brown. You know how you got to leave Baltimore to get recognition? They'll be in the top 100 next year too.
I saw how he will score a touchdown. One of the only few.
They'll do that real passive aggressive thing too. They're like Marquise Brown in an expanded role, even though he's a number 2 receiver in Arizona, was able to showcase what he has. This is like shit. No, he wasn't able to do shit with Joe.
Well, he's number 1 right now because Hopkins is.
Because D Hopkins gonna be suspended. Yeah. That's probably why they lost to the Chiefs like they did.
True. Ray right here. It's the Holy Rollers in 1978. The
Holy
Raiders.
Roller. That's what it was
Holy
called.
Roller,
The Holy.
Holy Rollers.
Someone said Fumble Rooski in chat, and then I
No,
couldn't think
Fumble
of what it was
Rooski is
called.
when the center doesn't
I
snap
know.
the ball.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Snap it.
Yeah.
Fumble Rooski.
QB
Little
Yeah.
Giants.
That's from the Little Giants
Little
movie.
Giants.
It's not even
Oh,
that
no.
Grew up on that movie. That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
The ball, the running back picked it up, ball, and the fumble hit again. Then the tight end and the 12 mishandle and kicked the ball, and then recover it in the end, so to win the game.
Yeah.
Little annexation of Puerto Rico.
It's basically what people were playing football with the football, so they were kicking it.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and
that's
scored in
football,
the, and
literally.
then somebody jumped on top. I understand. Okay, yeah, I guess you gotta just make the rule more precise because you should be able to pick it up and carry it.
Nah, great rule. Love
Yeah.
that rule. Great rule.
I
Great rule
actually-
with a capital
yeah.
G. Great rule.
I'm not bad with the ball.
Some real
Bills
tough
overrated. This is for Noah. So Bills overrated would have been
I
five
hope you're right. I hope you're right.
without Tom Brady. Okay.
I don't know. About
Q, you're the only one that haven't got your thoughts on Steelers and Patriots.
Oh, McCorkle's waking up this week. Yes, I think it's time. McCorkle's waking up.
Waking up in a good or bad way?
No, in a good way. In the only way that McCorkle can wake up. Okay, so it's been a lot of disrespect on McCorkle Jones's name. I ain't gonna lie. That picture that came out, had me rethinking this whole McCorkle Jones fandom thing. You know what I mean? Like that was Jimmy Garoppolo-esque, right? Remember Jimmy Garoppolo threw that interception in the Super Bowl at the end of the first half, had his eyes closed. It was like, man, I could never believe it this bad again. That was close, right? Where they had Mac Jones like, like it was bad.
Wait, what are you saying? Are you saying you are a Mac Jones fan?
I'm saying
Actually,
I am willing to look at the glass half full when it comes to McCorkle. I am
Since
willing to do
when?
that.
last year, do you remember
When
last
he
year?
put up 45 on
Oh,
acid
that's
on the
right.
Browns,
That's right. Okay, that's
Yeah.
I had to change my perspective
I forgot
on this
about
whole
that.
thing.
You
You
started
know,
calling him McCorkle back then. That wasn't Mac. It was McCorkle.
yeah,
I
Mac
forgot about
Jones,
that.
he's trash. Mac Jones is trash. That's who played last week. Young McCorkle, though, he's coming. This is who's coming this week. All right. So young McCorkle is making a comeback. He wasn't in Miami last week. But in all seriousness, right, this is kind of the same game from last week, but they're playing themselves, right? When it comes to Pittsburgh, a really good defense versus a Hall of Fame coach. You know, we're going to see how that one goes with questionable offenses. But I do think that without TJ Watt, I do think the Patriots probably have a better defense. And we can make all these damn McCorkle Jones jokes all we want, and they are funny. But like, it is Mitchell Trubisky on the other side. Like, this isn't McCorkle versus Joe Pearl or something like this, where McCorkle would be a negative in this conversation. I do think McCorkle's probably, if not as good, better than Mitchell Trubisky. But yeah, I think this is going to be a win for the Patriots. It's going to be one of them ugly, really boring games if you don't like really dirty, ugly football. But yeah, I think, I'm shocked at everybody with Pittsburgh here. I am firmly going to go with New England here. And I am going with that with the utmost confidence. And look, if I look ridiculous.
Well, I think if I picked against Pittsburgh, it would look a little petty on my part. Yeah,
you in that trap. This is why I'm choosing McCorkle, right? Like he put up 45 on answer. I can't be like he's trash now, right? So, on the defense, I thought was really good. I still can't explain how that happened, but it happened. And yeah, I think the Patriots win it. This would be like a 23-10 game. Like this would be miserable. But I think
that would be yes. No, I would be miserable if it was 23-10. How about let's make it like 23-20 at least to give my.
You want to hit the over? No. 23-10.
23-20. Give me a little chance out there. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a big game. By the way, I didn't hit this other. I think it's a big game for the linebackers of the Steelers. Guys like Miles Jack and Devin Bush. This 2 tight ends settle out. It's gonna be a lot of 12, a lot of heavy stuff. That's the new thing that Belichick loves to do. Guys like, and a guy like Terrell Edmonds is gonna have to play big in this one. Yeah, I think this is a time for, like, Miles Jack was very good last week, but he was kind of under the radar.
Yeah. He's trying to do what he did when Hernandez was there, right? He used to go very heavy. He said, yeah, he used to go very heavy.
I don't know, man. The Patriots
maybe
are just like
when Gronk was there instead.
Players' production goes to die. It's just like if you want your career stats or your stats to just go, you just go to New England. Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, like I don't draft any
Brandon
Patriots
Cooks.
players.
They have,
any
their receiving
Patriots
core is
players
so
in
weird
fantasy.
too. They have
Yeah.
like Kendrick Bourne and
Aguilar.
Jacoby Myers and
Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
oh, that's right. They have Devontae Parker now. He's a decent deep threat.
And Aguilar. They have Aguilar. Too.
There have been two players that have really. There have been two players that were not white slot receivers that have benefited from going to New England. And one's Tom Brady. The other one, LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount is the only one. I was like, every time he's in New England, he fired. When he's not in New England, he's fired, right? Like that. He's the only.
Or he quits. Or he's a quit. He quits on your team.
Collins.
Yeah. So he can go back to New England. And then all of a sudden, I was like, man, LeGarrette Blount on the Patriots, he's only good over there. But like,
with him and Le'Veon Bell up in smoke.
Ring the bell, roll the blunt. It didn't last long, did it? Didn't like Bell get injured and then Blunt quit? They were down.
Le'Veon had a legendary like Monday Night Football just carry the Steelers to a victory, and they never gave. He had like 35 carries, and they never gave Blunt the carry because Le'Veon was playing so well, and so Blunt walked out on the team.
He was a pioneer. He did that before AB did it.
Yeah, he did. He
walked so AB could run. Like he really did the AB path before AB.
He just kind of slinked out, during the game. AB was a little, AB did it.
It's always like that. The pioneer is more low key about their pioneering, and then the next dude to come in has to one up it, and that's where you take your shirt off and sprint out in the middle of a football game, right? Like and the fun thing with AB, he had to one up himself twice. Like this is why he's the GOAT.
Okay.
The funny thing is, random story is I actually used to work with LeGarrette Blount's mom. At when she worked at Wells Fargo, during that time.
Minecraft here says, Ace, do you think Daxon Hill plays? If not, how long?
Oh man, I mean that was one of the huge disappointments from week one. Dax Hill played like 6 snaps. I was at the game. I was like, oh, there's Dax, but most of the game he was not in there. I think they got to get him in a little bit more, but depending on how this game goes. I think that they'll probably ease him in. The biggest disappointment was that they didn't really play him at nickel corner at all. All of it was at, I believe, free safety or strong safety. So I don't think that we'll see that much of him this week. So I would probably wait until a little down the line, maybe by around, week 5, week 6, maybe they start doing some more 3 safety looks than they've done. I think as of now, you'll probably see, like you did, maybe 6 to 10 snaps a game.
I think it was probably matchup specific, wasn't it? Because the Steelers didn't exactly do a great job of taking advantage of the Claypool versus Hilton, size match. I mean, the one throw that Claypool had a bunch of end
like,
arounds.
hey, let's do an end around. I'm like,
they had a bunch of end arounds, and then he had that throw on the goal line where Mitch put it. I mean, Claypool had a great catch too because he had that one hander from way behind him on the goal line. Yeah. But I think it was just the Bengals wanted to stay in too high. They didn't need to take Hilton off the field, so really at that point. There's no point in putting Dax Hill on the field because it wasn't like the Steelers are going to spread you out and we got to get all these DBs on the field.
You know what I was rooting for, Tony? That last catch was Firemuth, I think, right? With like 10 seconds, no timeout. I wanted to be Claypool. First down, 10 seconds. I wanted to see him dancing and y'all being attacked.
I see. These guys are going to run too much time off the clock. Yeah. Did they have timeouts? No, I guess they didn't have timeouts.
No timeouts.
In overtime.
He would have been up there. It's like, which package do you get, though? Do you get the long celebration where he's like on his knees doing a dance? Or do you just get the regular check? And then like, you can live with that, right? Like, he's going to celebrate. He's not going to run back to the line. Yeah.
If you see that play, Firemuth looks for the.
He had enough time to celebrate. The Steelers actually. I'll give Tomlin credit because I've given Tomlin a lot of guff for his clock management at the end of the game. He actually did a decent job this one. He had Trubisky just throw an incomplete pass to run some time off the clock, so that it wasn't the last play of the game.
That's true.
So
Ray Rack here says, "I know
it's an underused strategy by coaches."
Yeah. I know it's hard to think, but Randy Moss was thought to be on the downside of his career before he went to the Patriots. I agree.
He was the original Odell on the
and Jamil Collins, man. Jamil Collins went to the Patriots.
Jamie Collins.
He played great, and then he left. He sucked. He come back. He played. He left. He sucked. Come back and play. And he left to Detroit Matt Patricia and sucked and came back to New England and played well.
If you want a list of dudes who left the Patriots and then came back and were really good once they rejoined, just look at the Browns roster when they had Eric Mangini as the head coach.
Mid 2000s, like late. Yeah.
Like it's all filled of dudes who got paid in Cleveland, released and were like, all right, well, I got paid. Might as well go back to where the cooking's good. And just went back to New England. Like, oh, Willie McGinnis is still good, I guess. Huh? Okay,
Okay, let's talk about the marquee matchup this week, Ravens and Dolphins. Dolphins came out from a strong performance. Obviously, they invest a lot of money during this offseason. Left tackle, Armstead, and then Hill. So I'll throw it to you guys first. UQ, okay. What do you think about this game?
This is an interesting game. This is an interesting game because it's the meme, right? Like it's Lamar playing his future team.
Oh, that's right.
That's the way you're going with this. That's your angle on this game. Unbelievable.
It's Lamar's chance to show. It's Lamar's chance to show Stephen Ross why he should get Lamar Jackson $255 million guaranteed in free agency next year when the Ravens
come get me game. This is the
come get me game. This is the come get me game. This is the game to get. Hey, Steven, you could give me everything that you gave Tom last year. Just give me that. Part ownership, GM, Lamar could do it, So this is the game for him to get the bag, right? And he's going to have many opportunities, but this is going to be an opportunity for Lamar because he lost that game in Miami. This is not in Miami this year, right? It's in Baltimore. Is it back in Miami?
Yeah, no,
it's in Baltimore.
Home opener.
Yeah, he tends to not play well sometimes in Miami. Well, he played one really. He's random. All right, but no, I think this is an interesting game outside of the whole Lamar element of this, just because of the testing of the Ravens secondary, right? Like we're going to see that with Tyreek Hill, see if he can still stretch the field against them. Also, when we look at this from the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson versus that defense, it's going to be interesting. That's all I got to say there. It's going to be some interesting things that they can take advantage of. I am not a big fan of what the Dolphins have on that defense, and I don't think that's going to really hold up against the Ravens. I just don't know what to think about Tua, right? Like that's also another thing is like he's good enough to be bad, but bad enough to be good sometimes, and you just don't know where to land on him. And with the Ravens team that's going to blitz as much as they do, that can be a coin flip at times, right? Sometimes not having that strong arm and them planning in a lot of these screens that he's going to plan in is going to be helpful. Sometimes that's to his detriment. I just don't know where to go with Tua on this, but if I'm just looking at this, even though Tua has better weapons, if this becomes a shootout, I think Lamar Jackson is capable enough to put points back up no matter who's out there. I mean, Mark Andrews going to be out there and Sauce Gardner not going to be on him, so he's going to be able to get open. And then if this is a close game, the Ravens play more of a style to where I would trust them in that. So I guess I have to go to the Ravens because I trust them in more of the scenarios I think are likely for this game to turn up in, for them to come out at the end of it. It will be close. It could be one of them Lamar specials, though. I'm just going, it could be a little extra oomph in this game for Lamar Jackson. It could be one of them games where he throws for like 335 and like 15 attempts and runs for 200 and has like 4 touchdowns, and it's never close. But I do think it's more likely the Ravens come out the victor.
Ace.
I got a couple questions. Number one, who's healthy at corner for the Ravens? Is Marcus Peters coming back this game?
It's a game time decision. I would say that he practiced 11-11 practice before the Jets game. And I think the only reason he didn't play was because of the rain. Now I don't know.
You said that was just limited. Did not practice last week. So he's
no. He was practicing. I mean, they might have limited him a little bit, but he was full practice. They might have rested him a little bit in practice. Not as many reps.
Where they looked out, saw the Jets, and were like, "We don't need to put Marcus Peters out.
We don't need him out."
Between the Jets and the rain, they probably said. No, but he is game time decision. I think he is still week to week. J.K. Dobbins is week to week. Now he was full practice today.
So J.K. could be back then.
Yeah, the one that I think is still
Well,
not.
is he on IR or no?
No, no, no.
He's not on
fixed
IR.
it.
So that means he could
Uh,
play.
the one that I think might not play still is Ronnie Stanley. I think Ronnie Stanley is a week away. That's what I'm thinking. Because Harbaugh before Ronnie Stanley started practicing, Harbaugh said that he wanted to see like 2 to 3 weeks of Ronnie Stanley practice, and this will be second week. So
for me in this one, the injuries are going to be key because you talk about going into a game. Now, Miami does have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think that's an electric duo that they have over there. You got Gesicki, the cornerback. I mean, the
tight end.
The cornerback, tight end over there. They've got some weapons. The interesting thing is this has remnants of last year. Like, is this going to be the same type of game? Because what Miami did last year is they took a page out of what the Bengals did defensively with the zero blitz. This is going to be the test to see if Lamar can beat that zero blitz. Last year, he kind of struggled with it. That was one of the things I thought about, like in this offseason. Did he, do some research and some film study about ways that they can beat the zero blitz? That's what I think this game comes down to, because I think that these are two offenses that can score some points. I think we saw last week that Rashad Bateman can be a guy. He's going to have a tough matchup, but we saw him with a tough matchup last week still be able to do some things. Lamar Jackson definitely played well last week. But I think that this Miami team is a lot better than people are giving them credit for, including myself. Because at first, when I looked at them, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm not sure if Miami's ready to go this year. They might be a next year team. And then I went through their schedule, and I was like, they've got some winnable games where they can actually win some of these. I do agree with Quincy, though. Do I believe in Tua? I don't know if I can believe in Tua Tagovailoa. He was good enough, though, to beat a Patriots team last week, which the Dolphins usually do that. This game, to me, I think where they get the edge at for Miami is either going to be with the zero blitz or with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. How can the Ravens stop them if they don't have Marcus Peters? Because Marlon Humphrey's only one guy. Kyle Fuller, I believe, just went on IR.
Yep.
Who is the other? What other corner do you guys have over there?
Stevens will be the other starting corner.
Oh man, Stevens on Waddle. That might be barbecue chicken. But when I look at it from the Ravens standpoint, you still have Mark Andrews. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins on this one. I think that the Dolphins, they come out with that zero blitz. I think that they've retooled a lot more on offense. I'd like to see how Baltimore handles it. I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore ends up winning it, but I think that Miami has a lot to prove in this game, and I'm not so sure if Baltimore is able to go against that zero blitz. If they do, then I will be more than happy to be wrong, but I give the edge slightly right now to the Dolphins.
So Dolphins by 3?
Yeah, Dolphins in a tight one. It might not even – it may be – I could see like it being a field goal or something like that. It's not going to be any stretch other than that.
Okay. What is the line, Tony?
Ravens by 3.5.
Okay.
So 3.5 everywhere.
So this is a pick 'em. Essentially, it's a pick 'em game, right? Because you get 3. You
get 3 for your home field advantage.
Yep. So basically a pick 'em. Before we go to you, Tony, Rory here says Harps and Lamar said they spend a ton of time on the Dolphins zero blitz style. So we'll see what we come up with. Also, yeah, I don't know. The defensive coach obviously changed, so we'll see if that has any impact. It's over there in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And I know the coach from Miami is Tony's boy. So Tony, what do you think?
You see, and you guys hit on it right there. We talk about the zero blitz. I think what's interesting is, are we going to get a ton of zero blitz in this game? Because this isn't Brian Flores anymore. Brian Flores is, he loved to bring the blitz. That was part of his style, right? Blitz and man behind it. He's in Pittsburgh now. Look, you guys know I love Mike McDaniel. I mean, nerd coach is my hero. So
you know what nerd coaches love more than zero blitzing? Quarters.
Yeah. It sucks that this game is on at the same time as the Steeler game, because I want to watch I want to break this game down like live. I want to see it live. It's definitely going to be on TV3 in my living room for sure. But luckily I'm in Florida, so it's our local game here. So I will get to watch it even out of the corner of my eye. There are so many intriguing matchups down the line, right? First of all, if they do go 0 again and they just come, flying at Lamar, do they have an answer this year? You would think that they did, because that game last year, kind of, it was a little bit of a spiral. But then you look at both of these offenses, and I think the same thing about both. What are you exactly? What do the Ravens want to be, right? We came into this year and it's like, okay, it's very clear they want to go more 12. They want to be able to establish the run again, right? They want to build everything off of that, the RPO game, make everything hard on the linebackers, the edge rushers. And then they played the Jets, and it was actually, they're like a downfield passing team. Lamar Jackson led the league in deep passes this week, and they were successful doing so. They scored a big touchdown, 2 big touchdowns, really, Duvernay and Rashad Bateman. And then you look at Tua and that Dolphins team, and yeah, I mean, I love, by the way, Tua throws the most accurate ball I have ever seen in my entire life. And whoever gets that reference, you also watch the Dan Le Batard show. I don't know what to make of Tua either. I have no idea. And I like Mike McDaniel a lot, and I like the playmakers that they put around him, right? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. We're just going to go speed. We're going to spread you out. We're going to stretch you vertically and horizontally. It's the modern game. But then the other thing with Mike McDaniel in this offense is Mike McDaniel was always given the credit for, he's the one that came up with use the Debo as a running back thing. He's very much a run schemer as much as he is, a passing game schematics type player. And you look at Miami, and they have their offensive line. Look, I know that they've gone through this massive rebuild of that offensive line. I don't think it's very good still. And they don't really have, they bring in Raheem Mostert. They got what's the kid from? I got to look this up. What's the kid from Washington?
Chase Edmonds.
No, that's kid from Arizona. The kid who played Myles Gaskin. He played at Washington in college.
I know Myles Gaskin. He saved me in a couple games last year.
Okay. Yeah, my mic, I keep hitting my mic, and it does that thing where when I touch it, it's like this thing, I got to get a new one, because if I even, anyway, I just don't know what either of these teams I don't know what either of these teams want to be offensively. And if Tua wants to try and attack down the field in this game, I think that would be an interesting game plan. But, we just, Baltimore has an improved safety room. We talk about the corner situation is not great right now. Peters isn't back, and they lost Fuller. Humphrey's going to have to probably go to the slot. And then, you're going to have Stevens and who on the outside? Who's the fourth corner?
So right now it's Armour Davis could be a potential.
Okay, I actually like Jalen Armour Davis. You guys just
or Pepe.
Pepe Williams. Just go and get that super underrated Bama corner who's just a very disciplined player. He's not a shutdown guy, but he's going to be around the ball, just like Anthony Averett was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then look, this by the way, this Miami defense is way, way, way underrated. They've been a top, under Brian Flores, they were a borderline top 10 unit the last couple of years. This Dolphins team was a 10-win team 2 years ago and a 9-win team last year. It's not, and they did so defensively. I love this matchup. I don't know who to pick. I'll pick the Ravens because they're the home team, but I'm just far more interested in watching the matchup of can this Dolphins team establish any kind of running game? The Bengals are so stout, or the Dolphins are so stout up front, but they did give up some runs around the edge, right? So can they kind of attack them with a kind of an outside zone scheme, the very Shanahan style? Can they use some play action off of that? I sent a clip to you guys on Twitter the other day, the Patrick Queen biting on play action play, which is just a funny one, right? Yeah, but again,
that was horrible.
You're going to test the discipline. You have to imagine McDaniel's going to want to test the discipline and all that in this game. Can they get that going? Can they get some vertical shots? Or, the other thing that I liked about McDaniel is that you think about Belichick, he wants to take away your big playmakers, right, and make you win in other ways. He did a great job of getting the ball to Tyreek Hill, right? Get the ball in your guys' best players' hands. And then for Baltimore, you have to imagine Xavier Howard's going to travel with Rashad Bateman, everywhere he goes. And so it's going to be Bateman versus Howard. Exactly. No, it was a joke last week, but it's not a joke anymore, right? I mean, we were wrong. I said it was going to be Demarcus Robinson. No. But Duvernay made some big boy catches. And then you got, how are they going to deal with Mark Andrews? I love this matchup. I cannot wait to watch it. I'll take the Ravens. I'll leave the points.
Okay. We have Super Chat here. Lamar.
Q. See ya,
man. Lamar.
By the way, Jimmy, I appreciate your dedication to the agenda.
Yeah,
You
this
know what
is
I mean?
Q's.
The
This is Q's agenda for sure.
agendas will be pushed
Sorry.
this week. Oh yes.
I bet. I bet. Lamar gonna be scouting his next team. I'm gonna add a LL there. Okay, but I think this is an interesting game. This is a game that I wouldn't bet. Let me start with that. I would not bet. I would not touch this game for the 10-foot pole. The previous before last, it was a Thursday night in Miami, right? They had dominated the Dolphins in the past two games before that, and I think they actually played them 2 years in a row with Lamar Jackson. But that Thursday night game was different. That Thursday night game, both offense didn't do much. It was basically both defense, and the Dolphins just did a little bit more against our defense.
Wasn't it a heavy turnover game too?
I think I don't even remember it being a heavy turnover. I just remember us doing
Yeah. Okay.
nothing. If we think about our offense, I would disagree here. I don't think they travel with Bateman. I'm interested to see what they do with those safeties. I do like Holland a lot.
Yeah.
And then they have Byron Jones on the other
Holland
side.
was the one that got the interception, right? Like when the corner tipped it.
I believe so. I
Yep.
believe so. And then, but what are they? They look to play more off, right, against New England. Are they gonna play more in against Baltimore, right? And if they do, and that's a little bit out of position to them, how does that impact the whole defense? I actually think they start this game playing a little bit extra in the box, but not zero. I think they're gonna add maybe an extra player in the box, but not zero. I think at worst you're gonna see single high. And with that, look, that D line, I like it. Wilkins, I think the guy from Clemson from a couple years ago, that is there. Big boy dude.
Charles. No, not Charles.
I can't remember his first name. And then they have Tony's boy, Ingram the third. He was the one that scooped.
That's right, they do. Melvin Ingram.
Fumble. Yeah. I think Melvin Ingram is really good still in spurts, right? Like not a whole game, but in situation. On the other side, they have Phillips. I wasn't a big fan of Phillips coming out. To be fair, I was not a big fan of Rousseau either. Rousseau has looked way better than I thought.
Yeah.
Phillips has
We don't
looked.
talk about Rousseau here.
Yeah.
Had a sack last
one
week.
of our collective worst takes as a show.
But Phillips has not looked great. Now that being said, he might have. I mean, he's only his second year, so I think this interior D line. I'm very interested to see how they play against our O line for the Ravens. That even though we lost Juwan James, in my opinion, played better than people give him credit against a good D line for the Jets. Right, that is the Jets' strong suit. The problem that I see with the Dolphins is Howard, and after that, who? Like Tony here said, like Marlon Humphrey, and then who? Well, I think for the Dolphins, it's even more because it's Howard, and then I don't know, right? If
I like their nickel. I forget his name. He's from Auburn.
you think Needham or something like that?
No. That's their outside. Their nickel is Noah something.
So I wonder if they're gonna do Howard not on Bateman, but on Mark Andrews, right? That's my question. The Jets, what they did was, so Sauce doesn't travel. One thing that I remember that game, basically Sauce plays the right side, and if you go to the left side, he's gonna be like, well, almost like Richard Sherman, right? Like, okay, I'll stay here. But every time Mark Andrews was on that right side, Sauce took him. So I think Howard will take him more. I think the Ravens have ways to exploit that defense, but that defense is good. The other thing is the linebacking core. Not a fan of that linebacking core either. So if the Ravens can establish the run, that's where separation might happen. That's where the Ravens might win and might not be as close as I think. If they do similar to last year, that they prevent the big runs, and right now, if Jake doesn't play, I mean, we took Drake 2 weeks ago. We signed him, and he's the starting running back, right? So if they find ways to limit the Ravens' running game, then that's going to be a close game and a long game. But I still think in the passing side, the Ravens have a way to exploit that. And then if we flip it to the other side, the one thing right now, the interior D lineman for the Ravens was really good, really good. I think was Hayward the top-rated D tackle last week? I don't know. I think
in PFF grade.
You're
asking me?
Well, no. not
about
you.
Cam Hayward's PFF grade?
Pierce and Marabuki rated really high, and Bronson Washington also. And then it's not only the rating; you felt their presence, and it's weird, right? It's rare to feel the presence of a D tackle, let alone two, let alone three, right? The interior D lineman on Miami, their center's good with Williams, and then they had the kid Eichenberg. I can't pronounce his name. I remember seeing
Eichenberg.
him. Eichenberg. Thank you. Coming out of college, I thought he was going to be better. Right now, what I seen for him, meh. And then obviously they paid the big money for the left tackle, Amston, from the
Armstead.
Saints, Armstead. And
Armstead.
then they have the right tackle Jackson. That's where I think is where they're gonna try to exploit, but the inside, right? The inside, our Ravens inside. And why I say that is because even if they don't get home, our interior D linemen, they are huge, right? We're talking 6'7", 6'6", I think 6'4". Tua's not the biggest guy, right? So batted balls might come into this game. And then the safeties, right? Raven safeties, they're going to be put into the test. The one weird thing is, watching that game, Tua doesn't push the ball down the field that much, right? It's a lot of 6-7 yards at most. Well, that's your safety at that point is basically watching over top. It is not really forming effect. I think the Ravens early in the game are going to bring the safeties down a little bit to like that 10-yard floating around the 10-yard line and tell Miami, we're going to play this way until you show us you can beat us down the field, right? Because we won.
Danger. They got some speed down. They got Tyreek Hill and
Yeah, they got some speed.
They do.
Waddle.
They do.
Two burners.
They do.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't push it, or at least they didn't push it against the Patriots as much. Most of his throws are space throws. Go make the play, right? And Mahomes used to do that too with Tyree. It's gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a really interesting one. Right now, I have the Ravens by 4, which makes it tight. A 4-point game. That means it can flip to the other side with one turnover.
Yep.
Keys will be clean. No make mistake. You can't make mistakes. And then I think if you force Tua and battle that ball and frustrate Tua, again, that's where you win the game. Basically, this game will be whoever makes the least amount of mistakes wins the game.
A couple things, Sonny. Both their tackles are hurt right now, so it looks like Austin Jackson has an ankle and probably isn't going to play. That's their right tackle, and then Teron Armstead. Okay, it's 50-50 here. I know Chat's like there's a million things in chat. He's doubtful. He's not playing. He's doubtful.
Yeah, I think I saw something not injury related, just rest.
Yeah, it's rest, but he is injured. He has a toe injury, but he was given the day off, so he'll play. Injured. But he will probably fight through it. I think Jackson. It sounds like he is not going to play. That'll be the right tackle. He'll be out.
Yeah. Well, Jackson, Amstead is the really good. He's a great left tackle. So we'll see.
What was Cam Hayward's PFF grade? Was it bad or something?
No, I don't think so. But Tony just, he says.
Do you know Logan Wilson's PFF grade?
It was like an 80. Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, I saw that one. That one pissed me off.
By the way, for the Steelers, I think it was 53% Steelers on the poll, and then for the Ravens, we get 58%.
Told you it was gonna be 50-50.
Tony said that.
Told you it was gonna be 50-50.
Well, Ravens got 58.
I know chat. Listen, I know chat. Me and chat don't get along, but I understand how they operate. What was the Ravens one?
58.
58.
Yeah.
Wow.
It should be close to 50-50 because this is
I do agree with Tony though. I do want to watch that game because the Dolphins are just intriguing just because of the new coach and all of that speed. It's like they have 2 Tyreek Hills on their team. Jalen Waddle coming out of college was compared to Tyreek Hill, and then they just were like, "Hey, let's just trade for Tyreek Hill too and have 2 Tyreek Hills on the same team."
That's Go ahead, Tony.
I know they don't flex nowadays, this early in the season, these games. And no disrespect to Bengals here because the Bengals do get like the short shift when it comes to national games. They are in the 4 o'clock window this week because they're playing the Cowboys. But man, I flipped it.
I can't watch this game this week. Oh, you just reminded me.
Yeah, no, it's on here. Yeah, we're gonna get the Dolphins game. But the Bengals game, I mean, that was a fun game with Dak, right? National 4:00 window. But now, you know, the 4:00 window is Joe Burrow
I'm
versus
happy.
Cooper Rush.
I'm happy that it's 1 p.m. for the Ravens. I don't have to go too late to bed.
Oh, that's right for you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for you, a 4:00
Although
game
in
is-
here in England, Monday is a shutdown of the country because it's the Queen's funeral. But
that's right. That's right.
still, I would prefer having some sort of sleep. Although you know what's gonna happen if for some reason the game, which I don't anticipate, the game Bengals and Cowboys is close, then I can stay up because I will be super engaged.
Yeah.
If not, then the next day, Monday, I have the day so I can watch.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, did Cedric Wilson get playing time over there? Looks like he had 2 receptions last week. The guy that was the receiver in Dallas that they signed to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. By the way, did you guys know that there's 2 Monday night games this week?
What?
I don't know. There's a doubleheader.
Yeah.
What?
They moved the doubleheader to week 2.
Don't they usually do that week 1? So they
do that week 1, yeah. And I think they start like an hour apart too. I was looking it up this week.
Oh, because one is the Peyton Manning one, and the other's one the normal.
No, the Peyton cast is always a. One is okay. So 7:15 on ESPN. That's Titans Bills, and then Vikings Eagles. See, those are 2 great games, and they're on at the same time on Monday night.
By the way, also guys, remember this was presented by True Classic. Our league, which we're gonna do a True Classic gift, it's like a quarter left. I got knocked out because I had the Seattle Seahawks. Talk about.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess there were
Wow.
a couple big upsets.
Yeah, because the Colts were tied. That took a bunch of people out. The tie with
Who
the
did
Colts.
Quincy pick?
I don't know if Quincy's I don't know if Quincy's still alive. I took.
I would imagine Bengals Steelers took a lot of people out.
Everybody's dead after week 2.
Yeah, that took a lot. Literally a quarter versus last year we went deep.
Yeah,
a quarter.
At this rate, everybody it will be
the Titans
giving away
also.
The prize by week 4. At this
the
rate.
Titans to the Giants. Yeah,
the Titans took a bunch of people out. So it was not a good week in the Survivor League. Somebody put that in the comment.
I hope you guys just go whoever the Lions are playing, those scrappy Lions.
Those scrappy Lions. That's right. You don't got to do it against a spread. They just got to win. The Lions aren't winning. They just keep it close.
They keep it close, man. Hey, they made it a game over there in Philly. They were getting pounded.
Yep.
And then,
you
know what they did? They covered. They covered.
Lions just gonna lie.
Wait, did they cover?
Yeah, because I think they were 4.5, and they lost by 3. But they were losing.
Made it a 3. I thought they cut it to 10. Oh, they made it a 3-point game.
Yeah, and they were losing big. So whoever bet that game, that's
amazing. Yeah, they were down by like 17 at one point.
Yeah, it was bad. Anyway, saying that, guys, remember we'll be here now Mondays and Wednesdays. So we'll be back Monday to review all these games, and then Wednesday for the preview. If you want to leave a super chat, a super comment, I think it's called super thanks. That's what it's named. Go ahead. We'll make sure whoever you address it to replies it unless it's inappropriate. Also, thank you for everybody that's hitting that like, sharing the content, and commenting. I know the next day I usually wake up and I start reading the comments, and I try to go back and read some of the comments as well. I know Tony, Ace as well, SQ, read the comments. So thank you for that. That helps us a lot with the algorithm. So we appreciate you. And if you want to support us a little more, Patreon is available. So check that in the link. Again, True Classic, get yourself that 25% off. The link in the description below. Thank y'all. We'll see you next time.